Welcome to Mark Out of 10, the wrestling podcast where if you're on a list, it's actually a good thing, where opinions mean everything and nothing at the same time. We're going to talk over the latest going-ons in the world of professional wrestling and give you our opinions, whether you want them or not. As we fast approach Mania season and the up-and-coming Hall of Fame ceremony, it's only fitting we discuss our top 10 people who we think should be in the Hall of Fame. But first, I am the Mark Shields, and my co-host. He is the Lariat Lothario, the ring rat catcher himself, the housewife's favourite heel, Hoxie. How we doing, Hoxie?
I'm very well, mate. The ring rat catcher. Jeez. Oh, dear. Brilliant. I'm all good, mate. Dear. I'm really good this week. It's been a busy week with IRL stuff, with work and everything. It's been crazy, but it's good, mate. I'm feeling good. I'm looking forward to this tonight, but I'm still not 100% sure on this list. We were having a quick chat before we came live. Not about the list, but I've struggled this week. Really, really struggled.
You struggled to whittle it down to the 10, right?
I've not struggled to find it. Like, I had a lot of people at one point. I've just lost 3 within the 5 minutes of going live, so it's been a bit of a struggle this week, but it's good. I'm happy-ish with my list, so there's a few zingers on there. I'm looking forward to it. Be good.
So it's currently 8:30 on the Thursday, right? And at 8 o'clock, I had Hoxie. I have 14 on my list, and I cannot take anyone off. That's what I got half an hour ago. So that's the situation we were in.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know. I mean, my list has been quite set, actually. I think I've only chopped and changed in terms of positioning. But I think my 10 was always going to be sort of locked in, like decent talking points, etc. But yeah, if I sound a bit muggy tonight, it's because I feel like shit. So I'm feeling quite chesty, and my head's been sore for the last fortnight. So I think I've got high blood pressure or a tumour, whatever comes first. I don't know. So I mean, but we will persevere for the Mark Out of 10 audience, Hoxie. We shall persevere.
You got to work hurt, mate. You got to work hurt.
That's it. I'll come in next week with like a fucking face mask on, like the Undertaker wore when he broke his orbital bone. But he'd freak the fuck out. What the fuck are you doing? Anyway, let's move on to the
black wig on the fucking ring.
Don't make me laugh, I'm going to die. Okay, let's talk about some of the news that's happening in the world of professional wrestling. And I think it's a very poignant way to start. We had obviously our WCW moments last week, and the bad guy himself, Scott Hall, passed away 2 years ago today, Hoxie. One of my favourites, especially when it was Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
One of the best to do it, yeah?
Oh, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Probably one of the greatest minds in wrestling as well, in terms of how he would approach business, how he would approach the psychology of matches, how he would approach everything, really. He was he would be the kind of guy, if he was still alive, he would be with Sean down at the Performance Centre, just putting classes on and helping people and training people up and being at the pay-per-views and the shows and just guiding talent, guiding guys through. Amazing guy. He's talking about sort of like stories as well. Like, this guy's life was, he had justifiable homicide early in his life as like a bouncer, like shooting a guy who was trying to kill him. Got into the business like when he did, sort of territory guy, went through everything, pretty much changed the business with the way that the jump, we spoke about it last week, you know what I mean? The jump from WWF to WCW and that whole change in what was it called when the contract, and they would is it favored nations in the contract? So if somebody came in later, they would get an automatic bump to that level. So like when Scott Hall went there, he had favored nations, so he was on like whatever it was, 750 grand. And when Nash came in, Nash told him that he was on $1 million, so he would automatically get set to $1 million. And then Nash had the same thing. So when Hogan came in, they all got bumped up to what Hogan was on as well.
They wonder why they went out of business.
I just think like he changed the business, man, and just such a talent. Jesus, that Razor Ramon character was was amazing. I know he got given it, but he ran with it and made it his own. It was badass.
It was a unique character, right? Because at that time there was the sort of the cheesy characters, etc. You know, larger than life. And
gimmicks,
he was large.
The boxer gimmicks.
He was larger than life.
Yeah.
He was larger than life, but he took it down a whole new avenue. And you know, it was something simple like a wooden toothpick getting thrown at the camera. You know, shit like that. That's just so good. And you know, he was a tortured soul. He obviously had major demons, and a massive shout to Diamond Dallas Page. He like prolonged his life, didn't he? I mean, when you think about it,
massively. Yeah, he would have done a long time before that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
100%.
It's sad, and obviously, like you say, a great mind for the business. We talked about Sting. You know, we had an input in Sting's changing gimmick. You know, into the Crow character. You know, big in Diamond Dallas Page's career as well, a bona fide star as well for WCW. Yep. So yeah, massive, and you know, rightly inducted into the Hall of Fame. And you know, I think we tweeted out today the famous sort of last line of his Hall of Fame speech, right? Hard work pays off, dreams come true, bad times don't last, but the bad guys do. And it's that sort of goosebump moment, right? It's just
big time. Yeah, big time. Straight away. Yeah. It's crazy. So
it's
good.
like 2 years. 2 years he's been gone, but he won't be forgotten.
Yeah,
he won't be forgotten in the business. So, bona fide legend there, I think. So yes,
100%.
Rest in peace to Scott Hall.
Yeah, big time.
Okay, the second bit of it's a sort of rumor just now. Okay, so in itself, it's not massive news, but there are rumors just now that WWE are looking to change the start time of their PLE events, or their pay-per-view events, right? So it's changing to 7 p.m. Eastern, which equates to, I think it's about 11 p.m. UK time, okay? Now, they're just trialing it, etc. Do you think this could be the sort of precursor to the UK market getting some big pay-per-view events over here, just to see the traction of it? What's the thoughts?
I think they've, for so long, Vince has been America the Beautiful, hasn't he? Like, it's always been the world to Vince's America, and that's the way it was forever and a day. I think with like Nick Khan coming in and obviously Endeavor taking over and stuff, because Endeavor obviously with the UFC they do fights all over the country, all over the world. So they'll have Europe, they'll have Asia, they'll have the Middle East, they'll have Brazil, like South America. So I think, especially with WWE lately, they've been doing these shows in Australia, which is obviously a crazy start time if you're in the UK. If you're in the USA, they've done the PLEs in Saudi, in Riyadh, which is a completely different time as well. I think it's morning time. I don't know all the times and stuff, just talking about it, but I think they've probably realized that it hasn't really affected business. Like, people, especially with the network, people are going to sort of seek that out anyway. Regardless of where it is in the world, people are going to watch that product because they are fans. You're not going to sort of lose out on it. And I think probably the numbers have told that now. So they think, okay, well, we can change the time. Doesn't make a difference. We can get into venues earlier, or we can get out before, like, you mean whatever. Like, you can make it easier for people to get in and out of the venues. It'll bring more kids because they won't be up all late and all that. Just all this mad stuff for travel as well. You're not traveling too late. For the talent, or for the guys who are working on the show, like the backstage, whatever. Like you say, it opens up different opportunities for the majority of the PLEs are going to be in America. I think it will make more business around the world doing that as well. People will watch it more because it's not at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning like it has been forever. So it'll be strange, right? It'll be really weird.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you watched the one in Australia, really strange. Didn't you? You watched the Elimination Chamber. Yeah. Like, what time of day was that on? I can't even remember. Like, over here,
that was like first thing. That was like 11 o'clock in the morning or something stupid like that. I can't remember the exact time. Yeah. It was around that time. So it was really bizarre eating like a bowl of Frosties watching like Elimination Chamber. I was like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, what? Like, exactly. Yeah. I think you sort of hit the nail on the head with the network. It's no longer about buy rate, right? Because it's not relevant anymore. If you've bought the network, then you get it, right? So it's all about having the eyes on the product. So I mean, I can't remember the last time, other than Elimination Chamber, I stayed up to watch a pay-per-view, basically because I'm old as fuck now. But it's a case of me and you would watch it, if it, on the Sunday, we'd watch it like a Monday or a Tuesday. It's that sort of shit, so I think you're absolutely right. It opens up so different areas of the world for business, right? And I think it's good. It's going to be exciting. I think it's definitely a tester for something that, if you go to their big stars like the John Cenas, the Triple H's, etc., they always say the UK crowds are one of the better crowds to perform under, right? Yep. So I think it just makes logical sense now. And now that Vinnie Mac's not there, I think they can test the waters out just a little bit more, right? So it's going to be interesting.
It's an international brand.
Yeah, it's a global company.
It's massively. So they need to do more for their global fan base. And I think when they look at what happened with All In last year with AEW at Wembley, and they're probably not going to get hold of Wembley, but there's other stadiums there. I mean, obviously they had Clash at the Castle, didn't they, in Cardiff at the Millennium. I don't even know what it's called now, the Millennium Stadium or whatever. But I think they've saw potential. What they might lack
bring it to Hampden. Bring it to Hampden.
Get yourself up there, get up. Yeah.
It's like literally next door.
The bagpipes will be amazing. But it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. It really
huge
does.
Business opportunity. It's big business for WWE. And speaking of big business, we are going to talk about AEW big business. So obviously the big event that happened yesterday, it would have been. Now, obviously, you haven't seen it, Hoxie, so I'm not going to give spoilers in terms of match results, etc. But I mean, I'm going to spoil one thing for you. It's the worst, best kept Oklahoma.
Poor Tucker, bless him.
Getting too old for this shit, man. Right, okay. I'm not even going to give us a count. I'm just going to start again. So, where was I? Oh yeah, best kept. Worst kept secret.
Worst kept secret ever.
The artist formerly known as Sasha Banks. Everybody expected it. It happened. She did debut. Mercedes Moné debuted at Big Business. That's not a huge spoiler for you because we knew it was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So she opens the show. I'm fucking out of breath taking the cat outside. This is ridiculous. I'm so unfit. Jesus Christ. Fucking gassed.
You're unfit and old as shit, mate. It's all
there you go.
All downhill from here.
Fuckers. I still maintain she's going to improve the women's division, but she's not going to save the women's division because she's a great talent. She is, but it's still the same bookers, or lack thereof, for the women's division. It's not going to be. For me, it's a meh moment. It's a big name for them. But they've had big names and they didn't know what to do with them. And I think that's going to be really, really crucial with Sasha. Mercedes.
It's the same for everybody. It's going to be the same. It's very simple. It's going to be the same, isn't it? So
she did the sort of bog standard promo by numbers. It's like, I'm home, it's like blah 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 blah. And it was a Sasha Banks promo. She's the CEO or the boss or whatever the case may be. And I think what's really irritating about the I'm home segment is I think she did an interview on another podcast like a week or so before where she said that one day she's going to go back to WWE because she's got unfinished business there. It's like, well, it's in order for a promo segment to work, for me anyway, it's got to be believable, and in the day of,
or they've got to believe it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you don't believe it, I'm not going to fucking believe it.
Believe it. Exactly.
It's like, I mean, the rumor is that she had long discussions with WWE, and obviously they went their separate ways. She didn't hear back from them, so I'm assuming that she's went in with such a high number. They went, "You're good. You're just not that good." So,
I mean, you look at who they've got now. They don't need her. They do not exactly. They've got what we've spoke about some of the future stars, obviously in recent weeks, and they've got 5 Sasha Bankses in NXT right now. They can just pick up and promote. That's what they do. They make stars. They promote stars. So, I saw that Bailey, Naomi, and Tamina were there last night for the debut, which is very interesting. It's a very, very interesting thing. But like you say, she has star power. She is a star. She was a big deal in the WWE. She's got crossover, you know what I mean, sort of fame with obviously with the Mandalorian that she was in. Like she's done other things within her sort of ability to reach people, but it's not. She hasn't sort of changed and transcended that level and made herself like a massive superstar. Like she hasn't done what like a Rock would do or what Cena had done or whatever. You know what I mean? Take these examples and they leave wrestling and they try something different and they make themselves a star. We don't see her on television. We don't see her in films like every other month. We don't see her on like adverts. We don't see whatever. She went to New Japan. That was a absolute fucking bleh. I know she got injured, but even her debut was shit. You know what I mean? So, you touched on it there. There's whoever's going to be booking her. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. They had Saraya, who came in as a huge star. Saraya was probably more of a bigger deal than Sasha Banks was at one point. I think they've brought in. What have they done with her? They've got Edge, who's one of the biggest stars in wrestling ever, and look what he's doing. They do not Okada. I mean, he's
we'll
the
talk
first
about
thing
Okada.
the first thing that happened is they come in and they've done that, and then they've put him in a match with Eddie Kingston. It's just they don't know what to do with them. They don't know what to do with them, and it's bad. It really is.
So yeah, she also said that AEW is the only place for the women's revolution to go global. I was like, what?
No.
What?
No.
It's like it was just a bleh segment like that. You can judge it for yourself, and those that are listening or watching on YouTube or Spotify, you can certainly make your own opinions. But for me, it wasn't
fucking dreadful, isn't it?
It was not good at all.
Dreadful.
So then we went into the opening match. The opening match was Samoa Joe versus Wardlow for the title.
Okay.
You know, decent
obviously
match.
Wardlow won.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
No.
Yeah.
I won't spoil how it was a decent match. You know, I think Samoa Joe, he's brilliant. You know, he's good at what he does. He's got his psychology down really, really good. We said it before. Wardlow could be a top guy, but with good booking, right?
Yeah.
That obviously the next up is Swerve. Swerve didn't get involved in the match, but Swerve is in a program with Samoa Joe, so I think Swerve will go over eventually, which will be great.
Yep,
but
needs to. He probably should have went over at Revolution, to be fair, but there we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
know, I said that Samoa Joe versus Wardlow is the main was the opening match. The main event was Rio versus Willow Nightingale. The women's match is the main event of this, by the way. So we'll talk about that momentarily. Next up was the Elite match. So the Bucks and Okada versus Pac, Eddie Kingston, and Penta. Now, I know you love Okada, but right now, Okada just looks like another guy.
Mm-hmm.
The Young Bucks are fucking horrendous, like really bad. And I know we shit on them a lot, but that match was
a joke. Is probably the best way to explain it. I would guarantee it was them doing shit comedy in between all of their moves that they do in every single one of their match in exactly the same way that they do them, in exactly the same order that they do them every single time.
And do I know something? Even it's those two, right? But even
right?
even if they're in a even if they're in a 3-man match, right? Their partner always does the same. There's always a spot where their partner stands in the middle of the ring. If it's Adam, it could be Adam Page, it could be Omega, and now it's Okada, where he stands there and asks someone to hit them. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like hit me or chop me. For me, it's just that's fucking just bullshit. It's like, I'm not going to stand there and let someone hit me. Like, I don't know. You need to explain the sort of psychology of it to me, because I just don't get it.
So it comes from that strong style of Japanese wrestling. That's where it comes from. It comes from the and it's not you hit me and I hit you. It's two guys just bang bang bang, like throwing meat. But what it's turned into now is like chop. Oh, you wait there, hold on. I'm gonna chop you back. If you watch like some of the old Japan stuff from like the early 90s, throughout that 90s period, it was just two big boys just bang, and it was like, it's almost like excuse me, like fighting spirit coming up. It's like, fucking God, like bang. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get you. You wait there, hold on, and they like hold their chin and this that. It's all to do with that fighting spirit. It's all to do with that strong style stuff, but it's turned into like another version of it. It's like a joke version of it, basically. I agree. It gets done too much. It gets done in every match. The worst guy for it is Moxley. He's really, really bad. When you see the Japanese guys do it properly in Japan, like in the matches, two Japanese guys do it, it's good. Like a Kawada and a fucking Kenta or whatever, like, or a Kawada and a Misawa, like they're two big lads, like throwing meat and throwing ham, and they can get away with it. But when it's like, oh, you've hurt me, I'm okay now. Let me have a go on you. It looks dog shit. It looks dog shit.
Horrendous.
It's from that, basically.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't lend itself well to American style wrestling, because of the sort of the flamboyance and the psychology between like American style wrestling is very, very different. And it's hard to get over. It's hard to get over.
Yeah, I think I just need to sit Marsh down like one weekend and just binge like old school Japanese wrestling. That's what it comes down to, because I just don't get it. And for me, for someone, Okada's got a great look. Again, I have been exposed to a lot of his stuff, but his drop kicks a thing of fucking beauty, man. It is so good. The height he gets on it it's incredible. But I think him just being
beauty.
Yep, there you go.
Thing of beauty.
I'm very articulate when I want to be. But, just being associated with the Bucks is not good for him. And also, I want to say, I actually forgot how good Pac is in the ring. Fucking Neville. Fucking, like...
When he's on it, when he's got his mind in the game, there's not many
shredded.
Better.
He's shredded.
He's you can't fit much more on that frame, can you? Because he's not the tallest guy in the world. He's big lad, and he can go. He's quick. He's strong. He's brilliant. Really good.
I love him. Yeah,
really
I actually forgot how good he was. So
yes,
that'd be an interesting sort of watching the career of Pac as well. We could go back in time and watch some of his best stuff. That'd be really good.
Because he's been there for forever, pretty much. Yeah. I know, obviously, all the stuff with COVID, like he couldn't get over there. He was sort of stuck at home, and he was doing like vignettes and stuff to sort of keep his name. But he hasn't been around for a long time, and I think they need a Pac to come in and sort of as another face, and not a face, but like as another person in the mix, and just add a different dynamic and sort of a different bit of talent in the pool, really. Because we're seeing the same people a lot. Doing very, very similar stuff, so be good. Interesting.
So watch that match. It'll be good to get your opinion. So hopefully Hoxie will watch it, and then we can talk about it in next week's show from his perspective. So I'm just going to give my rough perspective of it. Next up was a in-ring interview with Will Ospreay and Tony Schiavone. Will Ospreay is a fucking... He's a star, man. Now, I'll hold my hand up. I always thought Will Ospreay was the spot guy, right? It just, it's all sort of...
He was.
Big, but...
Yeah.
There's just something about him just now. He is... He's coming into his own, coming from like the sort of Japan crowd who are very sort of reserved, right? Like in terms of the reaction of the crowds. Like they're obviously into it, but they are quite reserved as a crowd. But he is just embracing the fucking insanity of like an American crowd, which is amazing. And you can see he's just on the mic just now. He's so good. Him and Bryan Danielson, the match is going to be fucking incredible. I think it's going to be the match of the year for AEW, I truly think the presentation that Ospreay's getting, this is what Okada should have been getting. Something very, very similar.
Agreed.
You know?
Yeah. The thing with Okada is he's on the different side of the fence. He's in with the wrong people.
Yeah,
and they're, you should do this. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Like, what? Wait, for fucking $14 million over 3 years, I'd fucking do anything they wanted me to be fair. You know what I mean? It's like, if you can get away with not getting the shit kicked out of him by Daniel Bryan, then I know which one I would probably choose. You know what I mean? It's one of them. You've got to look at it that way as well. But yeah, with Ospreay, I agree. He was, for a long time, he was that spot guy. He was the kid who was running around, breaking his neck, trying to kill himself. I think he started to get it and understand it. I think you got to think as well, like some of the guys who've passed through New Japan recently and who he attached himself to. He was Okada's mate. He was Okada's young boy, basically, forever. And I think that says a lot when you go there and you can, and Okada can sort of guide you. But I know he's had lots and lots of help from Jericho. I know you can say what you want about Jericho, but Jericho gets it. If you know what I mean, why do 10 things when you can do one thing really good? I think I know I've heard on like interviews and stuff Jericho said about Ospreay, like, you need to stop it, kid. Like, chill out. It'll be okay. And I think he's maybe started to listen to a few of the gaijins who were over there and sort of guiding him a little bit. But it's weird because with Ospreay, he said the reason he didn't sign for AEW for WWE is because of the schedule. So he's got paid more money to go to AEW for less work. Like, what a fucking... It's crazy. Look at some of these guys who were sat at home as like Miro. Yeah. Miro had, I think it was 6 matches the whole of last year.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, it doesn't work for me, brother. See you later.
I think it's like Britt Baker as well, though. Britt Baker hasn't been booked since like August last year or something. It's like something
going on there. There's something going on there. There's more than meets the eye to that because she's... But how can you miss me if I don't go away? It's probably a bit of that as well. But there's, I think at some point something will come out in the wash about that.
Yeah, genuinely. Potentially. Yeah. What I will say is, going back to the Will Ospreay thing, is he's doing like sort of less dates and stuff, but apparently he doesn't need to be in America full time either. It's similar to the Okada deal. Like they haven't transitioned fully across because I think they're Ospreay's in a relationship now with his new missus and like it's his stepson starting school or something, and you know he wants just to keep his stepson settled in school and stuff. So you know,
is he still AEW? In the UK?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think he's an absolute superstar. He's going to be huge, and it's again. What I don't like about the Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay match is it's lazy booking, right? It's about who's the best wrestler. It's like fuck off, man. It's like, how many times have we seen that in AEW, right? Who's the best wrestler in the world? It's like, to be honest, at this stage, I don't give a monkey's fuck. Like, just fucking, just give us a story, something we can really invest in. Now, it is going to steal the show, this match, but I want something a bit more, if it's just a bit meh.
Once again, you come down to... It comes down to that thing with Tony booking his dream, big podcast in hand. Right? With booking those dream matches, he's booking the matches how he would book his little figures to wrestle each other. It's very, very simple. That's what it is. Like it's not booking; it's matchmaking. Now, I'll be honest. I do want to see that match. Yeah. There isn't really a story there. You don't need to tell that story. It's just, I want to kick your head in. No, you fucking ain't, mate. Come on, bruv. Let's have it then. That's the story. It's like you don't... Well, according to Cage Match, I am the greatest wrestler of all time. No, not anymore, mate. Like, we don't need it. We don't need it. It's the same old shit. We want to see two lads who are top stars want to prove who should be next in line for the belt. You should be next in line for the title. And you're in my way, mate. Move out the way. Yeah, but I've been here for a while. I don't care. Like, this is my chance now. Move out the way. I need to beat you to get to that. Okay, let's fucking have it. That's the story. It's very simple. They will lead. Ospreay's probably going to win the belt in Wembley. It's probably what's going to happen. the main event to try and sell that out.
That's what should happen. That's what should happen.
Exactly. Whether it does or not, but I think that's probably what will happen. It's going to be Ospreay against could it be a swerve? Could Swerve and an Ospreay have a belter?
Bro.
I would imagine they could have a very good match. We'll see. Is it an Ospreay and a Samoa Joe? Is it like, you know what I mean? Because Ospreay's going to be the face going in. I think if Jericho wasn't in trouble, it'd probably be Jericho and Ospreay as well. But there we go. But there's lots of different ways in which they could do it. It's very interesting. I think if Kenny wasn't ill, I think it would have been Kenny and Ospreay for the belt. Yeah, but it's there's lots of stuff they can do with him.
In saying that, if Kenny was there, I think that it would be a natural program with him and Okada, right? Because I still think they would go down the whole Okada replacing him in the Elite, and then that would be again, just think very simplistic booking. It's a natural fit, right? And yeah, but Ospreay, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does as well. See, we're not all about shitting on AEW. They have got legitimate stars. We've always said that. Next up was a sort of, again, a promo segment from Deonna Purrazzo. The Tony Storm feud is still going on. There's actually going to be a tag team match in the coming week. So this actually links in. Do you think that could be the return of Britt Baker? I can't think of any natural, other person that Deonna could tag team with.
Potentially. It's a good shout. Very good shout. I like Deonna Purrazzo well. I think she's very underrated. I think she's a really, really good worker. She's trained by Rip Rogers, I think, as well. So she's been trained very well. She's a good egg. She's a good egg, got good luck. Takes herself seriously, which is always good as well. So it'd be interesting to see what they can do with a Deonna Purrazzo. I think she's been overlooked for a long time.
Yeah, the Deonna Tony Storm match was really good as well at the pay-per-view.
I bet it was.
It was decent. Really, really good.
It's two really good workers going in there and having a good match. Yeah.
Absolutely. Next up was Darby Allin versus Switchblade Jay White.
Did Darby jump into a volcano in this match, or
Darby
off the top of the stadium into a pit of barbed wire and snakes and poisonous spiders? No, okay. I don't want to watch it. Fuck it.
Well, you should watch it because that boy is definitely going to seriously injure himself. He's going to die. Some of the stuff he does is stupid. Again, I'm not going to show there's sort of ongoing angles, etc. That's been done. Obviously, we saw a reaction last week of the Darby Allin. Check out
that's
our
a great
social media.
Check out on TikTok. Yeah, that's a great.
Check our TikToks. It's really there's actually a picture of one of the open wounds and stuff. It's just honestly, it's just bulk. It's fucking horrendous. So that's actually not a bad segment. The match is decent. Jay White's good, right? And Darby is fucking crazy. And it's decent. Next up was Jericho and Hook tag teaming. The tag team is called Lion Hook because he's going for the Lionheart gimmick versus Gates of Agony.
Trying to baby face himself up as much as he can.
It's so sad to see how far Jericho's fallen. That match, mate, was dead. The crowd was not there at all. It's horrendous to see someone who we would have put in the conversation of being from his WCW, WWE time, one of the greatest of all time.
And early
what
AW,
he's become,
early
it's
AW
really sad.
was decent as well. Early AW was decent.
Yeah.
He was, first year, 18 months or whatever.
It's horrific.
Yeah.
Really bad.
He literally is a vampire, isn't he? Anyone who gets remotely over, any of the young lads who get remotely over, he just latches himself to them. He's like them. What are those fucking things of Harry Potter? It sucks the soul out of your mouth. What was
Dementor?
Dementor. He is the Dementor of AEW. Jerry, that should be his new fucking gimmick. He needs to trademark that. He could be the Dementor. Dear. But it's
it's really sad. Yeah. Really, really sad.
Human dog shit, mate.
Yeah. So it went from Jericho and Hook against Gates of Agony. There was a match there. Watch it. I mean, or don't watch it, you won't miss much. And then after that, there's a backstage segment with Hook and Jericho, and they're talking about it. It's like, we're a great tag team, but in order for us to really understand each other, we've got to face off against each other. So it's now going to be Hook versus Jericho next week. It's like, what? That's the reaction I had. That's the reaction I had. I was like, what? So it came out. Matchmaking, right? That's all it is. Yes, it makes no sense. Fucking wrestling for me has to make sense, and this does not make sense.
That's a stretch, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, we need to share a ring to be brothers. Like, fuck off. Get in the bin.
Fucking. You know, Hook is really talented as well, though. It's like he's his dad,
and
right?
He's cool, though. Like, he's cool, not like wrestling cool. Like, he's a cool guy. He's got lots of charisma. He doesn't say anything, but he's like, he doesn't have to. It's like, he's really, I wish I was as cool as Hook. Like, I always
you go for a beer with him. You go for a beer with him, right?
He'd just be a good lad. I think he'd be a good kid, like a good lad. And he can go. It's a shame he's not 3 or 4 inches taller, but we can't have everything, right?
Yeah.
We can't have everything.
Again, he's never going to be the main guy, but he's definitely going to be sort of that upper mid-tier talent, right? I think that's where he's destined to go, which is really good.
Guys, just rearranging my camera. There we go.
It's all right. And then finally, the main event, Rio versus Willow Nightingale. Fucking awful. Not even going to talk about it. Terrible.
Rio,
and then
genuinely does not deserve to be in any wrestling ring in the world. She is the worst thing about AEW. One of the worst things, if not the worst thing about the AEW women's division. It's horrendous. I've heard Tony Khan was in the they had one of the post pay-per-view. It was the New Year's Bash one they did, or whatever it was, Christmas. I can't remember what it was, but they done the presser afterwards, and he was sticking up for her, saying she's like one of the best things that we've got in the company, and she draws good ratings, she draws good numbers, and she has great matches. She's shit. Fucking hell, she's awful. She's that small and that tiny. Like, when she takes a bump, like, it doesn't make a noise. Like, the ring doesn't make a noise. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you cannot take this person seriously at all. At all. I'm not a size basher with wrestling. I've made myself very clear on this before, but she's just, go on, mate. What are you going to say?
No, I was going to say that there's a point. I'm not going into the details of the match. Obviously you haven't seen it, but there's one point in the match where she drop kicks Willow, right? And it literally, it's the worst drop kick in the world. It barely touches her, right? And then Willow staggers back into the corner and like holds her chest as if it really hurt. And then Rio runs towards her, and Willow like lifts her legs up, and she literally gets fucking yeeted halfway across the ring. It's like what is going on? It's it's just it's Kenny Omega's plaything, right? That's why she's
more ways
there.
Than one.
Well, allegedly. All this match was there was obviously Mercedes came out at the end. There's an angle playing out. And all it was the cheap pop because she was there, right? Mm-hmm. It's she's got this fucking right. Okay, so Mercedes Moné, right? She's got this fucking dance thing. It's really frustrating, right? It's really fucking annoying me. She does this little dance thing where her music hits, and then she does that constantly, and then she does it again, and then does it again.
It's a little swagger dance, isn't it?
It's not even a swagger. It's just bullshit. It's like fuck right off. It's like, what are you doing? You fucking reprobate. Honestly, it's just, it really, really done my tits in. So, yeah.
The thing is, I really don't like about doing this podcast with you, Shields, is you sit on the fence so much. Like, I would love you to tell me what you feel and what you think about people. I'm sick of it. I'm sick to the body.
Fucking boot. Honestly, fucking boot. But, I mean, this is a prime example of the show being booked really shit, because it was 2 appearances from Mercedes Moné, right? Why is there 2 appearances there, right? What you could have done there is get rid of the first appearance at the beginning, where it's a nothing promo, right? Build it up. The fans are there to see her, right? It's a dead cert. You would have CEO chants all the way through. Mm-hmm. Build up, and then let her come out at the very end for whatever angle they're going to do. the place would go fucking crazy, right? Which it would, because that's what they're there for, because it's her hometown, right? Don't make her speak, right? She doesn't need to do a promo tonight. Get her involved in the storyline, and then the next Collision or whatever Dynamite, wherever she next appears in AEW, then she gets on the mic. Then whoever's involved in the segment that she interfered in at the end, then they can start their program together. Basically, by having 2 appearances by Mercedes Moné, it just diluted it down to the point where I was like, all right, okay, you've already had the pop at the beginning. You want the pop at the end, surely, right? You want to send the fans home happy, right?
It's I've said it before. It's putting a hat on a hat. Basically, you don't need it, and you want it, and you need it to be impactful or meaningful. Like they've done lots of debuts in AEW, and some of them have been really good, and some of them have been like a really like impactful. Probably the only way I can explain it. But you had Punk's return, and they done that right at the start, because everybody knew that was going to happen. And they were like, the fans were calling for it before they even went on air. Like there wasn't even any like fucking anything. So then it makes sense to have like had him come out and just do that. You had the one when Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole both debuted at the same show. Like that's amazing, because it's like, boom, oh, there's your surprise. And then it's like, boom, there's another surprise. And it's like, fuck, like it means more. But to have her come out and be like, and then come out later on and it not be important or not to do anything, it just takes the shine off the whole thing. It's very silly.
Stupid.
It's very silly. Yeah. I don't. These people get paid a lot of money to know about this stuff. I've been around wrestling for a long time. Like I've been a wrestling fan for ages. You've been a wrestling fan for ages. Like some of the ideas that we have on here are better than what they're doing on national television with a fucking $100 million budget or whatever, with people who are very, very intelligent people. I just don't understand how they can get stuff so wrong sometimes. It really boggles my mind. I'm not saying what we say is like 100% correct or it's right or they're going to do it, but it's fucking better, isn't it? Like,
I'd definitely just booked the debut of Mercedes Moné better than she actually debuted.
Better than the actual debut of Mercedes Moné, yeah. And she would have been in charge of it, because they all are. They all Tony, yes, do whatever you want. It's fucking shit. It's so shit.
Panders.
It's weird.
It's a really, really weird one. It's going to be interesting to see the ratings of the show.
It will be. We'll do ratings next week. I think we'll have a little bit of time on ratings next week. I think
what we'll do is we'll do a sort of. I think so. I think we'll have a look at. We won't look at TNA, because TNA is like it's still.
It's not in this.
It's two out, right? It's not in the same sort of bracket.
Not the same conversation. Yeah.
We'll have a look at Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Collision, and Dynamite, and we'll look at the ratings and like. We'll look at percentage drop-offs or increases, etc., right? And we'll look at the sustainability of that. I think that's going to be really interesting. It's because
it's not comparing numbers is wrong, because it doesn't work. But it's the interesting stat is retention over time. So I think we spend a bit of time looking at that and seeing what happens, when it happens, and why. I think it'd be interesting.
It's like we spoke about after AEW in London, right? It's a case of, they can have this great buy rate, they can have X amount of eyes on it, but what about the weeks following it? How do they capitalise on the big pop of like an event, or the big pop of a returning or a new superstar? You know, realistically, the Okada debut shat the bed in terms of rating. If you think about it, it's decreased over time.
Yep.
Will Ospreay, I think he's still, the matches are still like in the lowest performance segment. And I don't know if that's not on those two. That's just down to nobody wants to watch it. Nobody wants to watch the show. And if, like, why would Okada, your next supposed the guy, why would you put him on in the middle of this? Would you not have him on at the beginning, or would you not have him on at the end? You know, he's just getting lost in the shuffle. It's the same with like Will Ospreay. I think it's going to be interesting. But we'll definitely look at ratings next week. So it's going to be really interesting.
You need it's sales and marketing what they're doing. You need the posh technical term is you need a call to action from something like this. So like if you do something, you need that to lead on to something, or you need to promote it to something to get people to come back. It's very, very, it sounds really simple, like it's, of course, people, but what AEW don't do is they don't do that bit. He gets the guy to say that he's got the guy, but he doesn't do anything with the guy afterwards. Yep. Like, you build them in, you bring in Okada and you make it a big thing, and then it's like Okada's debut, Dynamite, he's going to tell us why he signed. You get people wanting to come back to see what's going on. Next week, Okada picks his first match in AEW for the pay-per-view Revolution. Like, that's what you do. You don't come in and be just like, oh, he's going to be mates with them, buzzing, and we're going to do a nondescript 6-man tag match just to have a 6-man tag match. So like Penta, Pac, and who else was it? Penta, Pac, and Kingston.
I don't care.
No one does. No one does. And it's going to be Eddie Kingston. It's going to be so, what's the it's Eddie Kingston's wet dream because it's another Japanese legend. And with Okada, it's like he just gets to have a wrestling match with someone who's got some belts. Like, yeah, I'll do it. Okay, there's no what's the jeopardy there? What's the story there? What are they do? Where is the Eddie Kingston and the fucking Young Bucks thing come from? He's just finished the tournament, having like you. It makes no sense. It's really difficult. It's really, really hard to understand how they get to these decisions when you have this amount of talent there to make the show this bad. It fucking boggles my mind. It really does. And it's not as if it was like a WCW thing where you had Hogan was looking after himself. You've got Nash looking after himself. You've got, all these guys. Russo was looking after himself as well. Like all these people who had creative control of stuff. They do have creative control of their character. We all know that. But like, it's not like Tony Khan is just letting them fucking get away with everything and anything. Yep. It's not like what I say goes in my contract. I need to do that. Like, because if it did, I'm sure they would be doing better shit anyway. Like, it's so difficult. It's really hard to understand how it's this bad. The book stops with Tony, and he doesn't know what he's doing. It's very, very simple, really. Actually, just working it out in my brain, speaking out loud, and thinking out loud. Like, a Vince would say this is going to happen, and this is why. And if you don't like it, see you later. Go and learn a new hold. You know what I mean? Or we'll just pick someone else. Like, we don't get that. You don't get that with Tony.
Tony thinks that him saying there's going to be a big announcement next week is the way to do, like you say, a call to action. Mr. Tony Khan, this is a call to action. If you want to comment on anything that we've talked about here this evening or in any of our back catalogue, make sure you email us at wrestlemark10@gmail.com. You can also comment on our YouTube channel, Mark Out of 10. You can also tweet us at Mark_out of 10 or follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We also have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Mark Out of 10. We haven't done anything with that yet, but we will, so make sure you follow us on that as well. That's how you do a call to action, Tony. Get it round you. Okay.
I've said this before, Shields. You are lost, mate. You are wasted. You need to be a salesman, mate. You'll be raking it. Absolutely raking it. Great shout.
Thanks.
Oh, what a pro. You've done 2 perfect transitions already.
Not bad,
50 minutes in.
So 50 minutes in.
Professional broadcaster. What a great content creator.
It's Hall of Fame worthy. And speaking of Hall of Fame, we are going to talk about... We are now going to go on to our list, which as we said, we're moving into WrestleMania season and Hall of Fame season, where the best of the best get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And we've already had a few of the class of 2024 that have been announced, but we're going to talk about more later on in the show. But we are going to talk about 10 people or 11 people that are not in the Hall of Fame, but we think should be. I'm looking forward to this one, Hoxie.
I'm very much so looking forward to it. That much. I'm not going to do a quick Oklahoma, but I am going to do a quick Oklahoma. I'm just going to grab a drink from the fridge, which is just down there. Give me 2 seconds. Keep them talking.
I suppose I should try and fill in the silence here, right? And here we have... Oh, that's a point. We'll wait until he comes back. Now,
Told you I'd be
Hoxie,
quick, didn't I?
no, you certainly were. Just before we get into the list, I just remembered something. On one of our TikToks,
Roll Tide.
roll tide, on one of our TikToks, someone said they were thinking about the Shockmaster, obviously my honourable mention for WCW. A great honourable mention if I do say so myself.
Phenomenal show.
But someone said they were distracted by the sign that is currently behind your head, Hoxie. What is the sign? Can you give us a bit of context and story as to this? Cook Pass Dante.
So for the fans of the Alan Partridge, I'm Alan Partridge. It's when he gets his car vandalised with cock piss partridge on there. So rather than cleaning it off, which you can't because it's spray painted, they amend it and it says Cook Pass Babtridge. This is a sign that somebody had made one of my wrestling shows. Obviously, cock piss Dante. What's cock piss? They changed it to cock pass Dante. So I stole it and brought it home and put it pride of place behind me. It's available for all of my streams and all of the podcasts that we've done. So yeah, it lives there behind me.
I mean, what is exciting though, talking about Dante and wrestling shows, I'm actually going down to watch the next TTW event in April, which is going to be really exciting. I really want to take a sign with me. So again, you've got all the social details, everybody that's listening. What sign would you want us to show at the TTW event? I want to have something like, the intro from last week. Dante showed me the gorilla position. I think that would be quite cool. But what is it you would want? Let us know in the emails. That would be really quite cool. But anyway, let's get back to our list.
So good.
Okay, so I can't remember who's first. You seem to remember who goes first.
I'm first this week.
You're first. Okay, Hoxie. Yeah. You're number 10 and the person you want to see and inducted into the Hall of Fame.
This was the one I was doing some research earlier, and I was absolutely gobsmacked and blown away the fact that they're not in. I thought they were in. I thought it was like a shoe-in that they were there. It's Brian Pillman, Senior. Brian Pillman, Flying Brian Pillman. I think if you look at he has definitely got a Hall of Fame career. He's phenomenal worker. So he used to be a NFL footballer. He used to play for the Cincinnati Bengals. So he was a legit NFL player in the 80s. I think it was mid 80s. He got in the draft. Got drafted to the Bengals, and then he went and started to play in Calgary, and he had to retire because of an injury, and he got into wrestling. So he started training with Stu Hart at the Dungeon, and he wrestled for Stampede. Obviously met Brett and Owen and Bulldog and all that lot. So he was sort of entrenched in that Hart family sort of get up and set up. Did he marry? I think he might have married one of them. Can't remember. Obviously went to WCW the late 80s and was there till 1996. Now the loose cannon gimmick in that mid 90s was the first real gimmick, really, that actually blurred the lines between. We talk about the Attitude Era, is it real or is it not, or are they real people, are they real characters, are they gimmicks or whatever. The loose cannon gimmick was the first person to do that really properly on telly, but he didn't. But they worked the boys. Bischoff and Pillman worked everybody. And Bischoff, Pillman's, I've been fired. Yeah, he's fired, but it wasn't. It was working the boys. Pillman called Kevin Sullivan Booker Man on television. Mm-hmm. Let's go, Booker Man. Nobody knew that was a thing. Nobody knew Kevin Sullivan was it. They were feuding. It was it was crazy. It was proper, legitimate, blurring of the lines. Really, it was real stuff. Obviously, the stuff in ECW, went to ECW, and he was doing ECW shows whilst he was still employed by WCW at the time as well. Pillman didn't come back. he left when his contract thingied. He sort of had the plan to go and do that. And when he left, he went to ECW and then he signed for the WWE. So he managed to work Bischoff at the same time as working the boys, at the same time as working everybody. And then obviously the Stone Cold feud in WWF, Heart Foundation stuff, all that sort of stuff. And he died dude, he's younger than me. He died at 35. He died in 1997. It was a heart attack in a hotel.
Yeah.
He was meant to show up for the pay-per-view. What was the pay-per-view now? Oh, God. He was meant to show up for the pay-per-view.
Let's have a look, see if I find it.
And he didn't show up for the pay-per-view, and they went to check on him, and he died. Really, really sad. 35 years old. And his career, what he did in that career, obviously he was wrestled with Stone Cold, like as a tag team earlier on, and obviously had a little bit of a feud with Stone Cold as well. And that loose cannon gimmick just by itself is worthy of a Hall of Fame. But I can't believe he's not in. I really can't believe he's not in. It's amazing. Yeah. Such a talent, such an amazing performer. Some of his Flying Brian stuff, like he wrestled on like every pay-per-view in the opening match for fucking seemed like about 20 years. It was crazy. He had some really, really good matches with guys like Tom Zink, with Mark Merrow, who was Johnny B. Bad at the time. Like they had some. You look at that. We talk about now these high spots and stuff. Now they seem to be in all these matches and those junior heavyweights or whatever they would be called. Like he went to Japan. He was having matches with Malenko. He was having matches with like Jushin Liger. Like some of the matches he had with Jushin Liger on some of the pay-per-views in WCW were fucking way ahead of their time. Amazing. Great talent. Brian Pillman, number 10.
He was supposed to wrestle Dude Love at In Your House 18, Bad Blood.
Bad Blood. There you go. Yeah. There you go. Amazing performer. Really, really, really good performer. I can't believe he's not in.
It's crazy, right? There's a few of them that you would think, holy shit, why are they not in it already? So if he was to get inducted, so we might do this for a few of them, who would you have induct him into the Hall of Fame?
Stone Cold. Because the Hollywood Blondes thing and their relationship they had all the way through. It'd have to be Stone Cold. It really would. Yeah.
I think I would agree with you. It should be Stone Cold. I reckon they'll get his son to do it though eventually. Lexus King. Because his son's there.
That's a fucking great shout. I didn't even think of that. I forgot he was signed there. Jesus. That's a great shout.
Yeah.
I might even put a little note of that. What's his name?
Lexus King.
That's a shit name.
It's a shit name.
It's fucking awful. Brian Pillman Jr. has got way more weight to it than fucking Lexus is in the Alexi is in the car.
Alexi.
It's the Japanese Mercedes.
Fucking Partridge heavy tonight. Partridge heavy tonight.
Yeah,
I think
we can go more if need be. We can do more.
It's hotter than the sun.
Hotter than the sun.
Yeah, but they do that all the time, right? You're absolutely right. It should be Brian Pillman Jr., but like they do it with Braun Breaker, right? He should be a Steiner. That's what it comes down to. So
was it Thingy McGillicuddy? What's his name?
Fucking Curtis Axel.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you doing? Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Let's get going. My number 10. So the way I've done this, I've done a sort of like a Hall of Fame class, if you will. So I've got some top tier stars that should go in there. I've got some sort of left field or maybe the lower sort of known people, and I've obviously got the courtesy celebrity as well. And the celebrity is my number 10, and it's Cyndi Lauper. Cyndi Lauper should be, for me,
she's not in.
Nah. She should be in the Hall of Fame. If you think about it, she was at the forefront of the rock and wrestling connection, right? She was managing Wendy Richter at the first WrestleMania, and that was when she was in the sort of the peak of her pop career. There's always that connection with wrestling. Lou Albano played her dad in Girls Just Want to Have Fun. She got loads of wrestlers to come in for the Goonies Are Good Enough music video. She's came back recently to the Raw 1000 episode to memorialise Captain Lou. she should be a shoe-in. If you think of some of the celebrities that have went in before her, it's an absolute travesty. There was stuff where it's like she declined an invite, and there was an interview shoot where she goes, apparently you have declined getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and she goes, I don't recall that conversation. So no idea why she's been sort of blackballed, but yeah, Cyndi Lauper for me should, out of all the celebrities that you think of, she's one of the top ones that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Dude, that's phenomenal that she's not in.
It's crazy, right? Fucking Trump's in there.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Mike Tyson's in there. I'm absolutely gobsmacked that she's not in. I would have thought she would have been in forever ago. Literally, like one of the first ones.
You think she'd be a shoe-in, right?
Wow.
So yeah, my number 10 is Cyndi Lauper.
There's not many times that I am gobsmacked and call my gobsmacked.
Spang mess and call me Charlie.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, my number 9 then. Now, my number 9 isn't a wrestler. Okay, my number 9 is not a manager, and my number 9 is not a celebrity. My number 9 is someone that, without knowing who he is, you know who he is. My number 9 is Jim Johnson, the guy that wrote the majority of the wrestlers' entrance music. For me, he should be in the Hall of Fame just for some of the classic stuff that you associate with wrestling. The Undertaker's music, the gong, yeah, the electrifying like Rock's music. You know, he was there for 30 years, like creating classic musical moments within wrestling, stuff that you'll always associate. We talked about it in the top 10 entrance music, right? Any top 10 entrance music you can think of, Jim Johnson will be associated in some way. And I think it's an absolute travesty that like he has not been inducted into the Hall of Fame considering the impact that he had in wrestling. And he still continues to have. I mean, obviously he's no longer there, but he set the foundations to what WWE do with their music now. It's a completely different generation, obviously, but I think he set the foundations and set the standard that, you know, in order for someone to go over, they've got to have fucking great music. And, you know, for me, I think he should be a shoe-in to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know, if you've got, like, the Warrior or, like, Warrior's wife and stuff, like, in the Hall of Fame and shit like that, it's only fitting that he should be there after 3 decades at WWF at the time.
We'll talk about Jim Johnson at some point.
Well, there you go. Okay, cool. Moving on to number 9 for you, Mr. Hawks.
My number 9 is William Regal, probably the greatest British wrestler to ever live. Probably the most successful British wrestler to ever live. He's done everything. He's been everywhere. He's been behind the camera. He's been in front of the camera. He is responsible for the vast majority of the new breed of wrestlers that we see in the WWE right now. He single-handedly guided most of the NXT UK roster. He's Triple H's one of his right-hand men. Maybe his left-hand man. Not necessarily his right-hand man, but his left-hand man. Exactly. There you go. One of the best wrestlers to ever live, like technical wrestlers to ever live. Poignant in Daniel Bryan's career, who is regarded as one of the best wrestlers ever. So we wouldn't have had him if it wasn't for William Regal. He's a local lad as well. He's just from down the road, which is always nice. You can't deny his talent. You can't deny his impact. You can't deny anything that he's done in this industry. Just a great worker. Didn't take himself too seriously when he needed to not take himself too seriously. When he was the man, I am the man. Like, you know what I mean? When he was doing the Lord Regal stuff, when he was the commissioner, the P and the T thing, just all these amazing skits that he was involved in. He wrestled forever. Television titles, intercontinental titles, European titles, tag titles, just everything. Hardcore championship, which is hilarious. And he was a king of the ring as well. Announcer, so he done commentary, everything. If there's anyone who's got a Hall of Fame level career, it's William Regal. Really is. Guy's a legend, absolute legend, and I think he will be carrying on for however long he can behind the scenes and just making stars and just making changes and making history. I think 100% got to be on this list.
We'll speak about him later. I'm actually surprised he's not higher on your list, but obviously it's your list, right? So, but we'll definitely speak about him later.
There we go. It's difficult.
Who's his last match?
Cassius Ohno?
Nope. Cesaro, the other one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
An
NXT show, yeah. I bet that was good. I don't think I've ever seen that. I need to watch it. I need to watch that.
Yeah, it was a good match.
I'll have to find that out of the way. I bet it was really good. Nice storytelling as well.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does with, because he's finally been on air on NXT as well. Like, he's came back recently, and it's because his son. He's starting a program with his son, which is going to be really cool.
His son is it Charlie?
Charlie,
yeah. He's going to be fucking sick.
Ridiculous.
He's going to be so ridiculous. Good. Yeah, it's going to be wicked. Cool.
Okay, moving on to your number 8 then, Hoxie. Regal's a great show. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, number 8.
My number 8 is celebrity inductee. It's Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead.
Yeah.
Fucking badass.
Yeah.
Responsible for...
okay, moving on.
But yeah, there isn't really much else to say, to be fair. It's fucking Lemmy, man. It's Lemmy and Motorhead and Triple H and live performances, WrestleManias, pay-per-views, whatever. Huge impact. Really awesome wrestling theme. Just a badass dude. If there's any sort of celebrity that's been involved with the WWE who isn't already in there, apart from Cyndi Lauper, who should be in there, it's fucking Lemmy, right? It's Lemmy. Any day of the week. I'm not gonna talk too much about him because it's fucking Lemmy. Like, we all know how fucking badass motherfucking Lemmy is. So, he should be in there. In the celebrity wing, there is an amazing corner with loads of Jack Daniels and loads of cigarettes and lots and lots of cocaine. Perfectly sorted out for Lemmy Kilmister, whatever you want to fucking call him. Yeah, badass.
Great shout. To be honest, it wasn't one I even thought of. It's a great shout, though. Fucking phenomenal shout.
Yeah. Has to be in there. Has to be in there.
Excellent shout from Halsey. Legend. Okay, moving on to my number 8 then. My number 8 is a tag team we've talked about before in our tag team episode. Go back and check that out in our back catalogue.
Great episode, by the way. Sorry to cut you off here. Great episode. Go on.
It's the Midnight Express. We've talked about them a lot, not just in that episode. We've mentioned them a few times. One of the best tag teams, not of just that generation, but of all time. Bob Eaton, and you can take your pick, Stan Lane or Dennis Condrey. Doesn't matter what sort of dynamic you're talking about. The Midnight were just fucking phenomenal, right? They were icons. And we always say, in order to be like one of the greatest heels of all time, which they were like a phenomenal heel tag team. They had to have a great face team, and they did. They had the Rock and Roll Express, right? And Rock and Roll have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So again, it's a sort of travesty that they have been inducted. And I think, I think it's down to the manager of Midnight as well. Is obviously Jim Cornette, and I love Jim Cornette, and if he should be part of that Midnight Express collective as well. But I'm just talking about, exactly, because for all they were really good heels, he was the one that got them fucking hated, right? So, we've talked about Midnight so many times before. Multiple champs throughout the 80s period. They were legitimate superstars, and they should be on anybody's list for Hall of Fame, and it's a travesty they've not been in before then.
It really is. It really is a travesty.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Bobby Eaton isn't in the WWF Hall of Fame.
Crazy.
He will be in other ones, obviously, but the fact that Bobby Eaton isn't in the WWE Hall of Fame is fucking sickening. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk about them later.
That's also. Okay, my number 7, we'll just rattle through them just now. My number 7 is the voice of WCW, Tony Schiavone. If you think about all the great people that have already been inducted into the Hall of... You forgot him?
Yes, I did!
You think about all the great people that are in the Hall of Fame just now. It's like the Jim Rosses, the Jerry Lawlers. You cannot have like Gorilla Monsoon's Bobby the Brain. You cannot have a commentator list without having Tony Schiavone on it. You know, he's got to be near the top of the list for me as well. Like, he is the voice of WCW, like I said, but his career's so much more than that. Yeah, I mean, he started at Jim Crockett.
He's an announcer. Yeah,
it was. His voice, it lent itself to that sort of southern wrestling, right? It gave it a sort of an air authenticity. Then he worked for, like say, JCP, WCW, WWE. He worked for them. He's an AEW now. He has I think it's his tone. I don't know what it is. Obviously, JR's got a very distinct tone. The King, Bobby the Brain, Monsoon, they've all got really distinct tones of their voice, and Schiavone's no different. You know, Gordon Soley has it as well. It's just something really, really special. And, you know, he came back after a long time out of wrestling. You know, it was a long time.
20 years, nearly, pretty much.
Yep. And two of the greatest of all time, and him and Jim Ross are commentating on AEW, you know. And, you know, everybody shits on Excalibur in AEW. You know, why the fuck's he wearing a mask on the desk, etc., blah, blah, blah. You know, I will say Excalibur has got a hell of a lot better.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's down to the input that Schiavone and Jim Ross obviously has had. So he's still really creative. He's still one of the best on the mic out there, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. Now, it was interesting when the NWO went in to the Hall of Fame, obviously a few years ago. Eric Bischoff wasn't included in that. Mm-hmm. At that time, Schiavone says that Eric Bischoff should have been included in that WCW, like NWO sort of faction, because he was a big proponent of it. Mm-hmm. And he actually said to his family, I don't want to be inducted into the Hall of Fame because of that, as a disrespect.
I think Tony has a... I listened to Tony Schiavone's podcast with Conrad right from the very beginning. Literally, I've listened to pretty much every single episode, and he has got the worst imposter syndrome of any like professional person that I think I've ever listened to. And I think he that's probably just like an excuse for him for like to think that he doesn't deserve to be. Oh, don't put me in it because it's because of that. Like it's not. He doesn't like, even when people are saying to him like, "You are one of the best commentators." No. He was working in fucking Starbucks, like when he was away, and so like he just didn't get it, doesn't understand it. It's really sad, really, when you think about it. But
doesn't realize how good he is.
No, the thing with Schiavone, which you were saying about it, like his distinctive voice and stuff, he sounds like a sports broadcaster.
Yeah,
it's like an American sports commentator, like an NFL commentator or a baseball commentator or whatever. He sounds like that. And I think with the presentation that JCP and sort of early WCW were trying to put across, he really lent to that sports presentation, that sports-based presentation. I think it worked really well. And we spoke about this last week, butts on seats and all that. So he's got very, very poignant moments attached to him. The leg drop at the turn, the NWO starting, like the Bash at the Beach, like he's had it's Sting. Like there's big things that Tony Schiavone's done. I can't believe I didn't think he wasn't even on my big list. I just forgot. It's really bad.
That's what happens. It happens though, right? It's crazy.
I'm gonna put a little note on there, just like on my little thing, just the old Schiavone. I can't believe that.
Hopefully,
a
because
he was a producer in the WWF when he went there in '89. Like, he produced a lot of their Coliseum video stuff. Like, that's crazy. I can't believe
so
believe
good,
that.
man. You know, and hopefully, like the whole thing where he says he doesn't want fucking raging. It's like me and the Arn Anderson thing last week.
I don't think it's as bad as Arn. You were going to fucking explode.
I was going to explode. After that recording, I went and listened to it. I was like fucking fuming.
Repent.
Sorry. Exactly. I'm sorry. Don't spinebuster me. I think he's just got to be on that list. Okie dokie. Moving on then, Hoxie. Over to your number 7.
My number 7 is a guy who was in the WWF. He started in Dallas, I think. But he was around for a very, very long time. Another one of those guys who went away and then he came back in the last few years. He was Vince's right-hand man pretty much for a very, very long time. And that's Bruce Pritchard. Legendary producer in the WWF. Absolutely incredible mind for the business. Probably one of the greatest salesmen you will ever listen to. He could talk himself out of any situation or talk himself into any situation as well. It was Houston, not Dallas. He started in Houston. Excuse me. He started in Houston under Paul Bosch. He's WWF, WWE, GWF. He was in TNA for a while as well.
Yeah. And
he also done a little bit in MLW as well.
Did he? I don't know that.
Yeah, he done some backstage stuff with MLW, so he gets on very well with MJF. That's why I thought MJF was going to sign with the WWE recently, because he's one of Bruce Pritchard's boys. It's another podcast that I listen to a lot of as well, is Bruce Pritchard, and he was big high on MJF when he was at MLW. It was before AEW was even a thing, so I'm really surprised they didn't sign him. But he's been around forever. Every single famous vignette or backstage thing or pre-tape or introduction, whatever, every single thing that we talk about being like these amazing moments, he would have produced, or he would have been part of the people who would have produced it or wrote it and been involved. He was an on-screen talent as as Brother Love.
Brother Love. I love you.
Introduced The Undertaker. He was The Undertaker's first manager at SummerSlam. He's done absolutely everything.
Yep.
Everything. And the WWE, WWF would not have, all the stuff that we love and all the stuff that we talk about being fans over that period of time, everything that we love would have had his fingerprints on.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's gone back. He's a fucking slam dunk to be in there. I think whether he's too close to Vince, I don't know. The future, whatever's going to happen with Vince, whatever, I don't know. But he's a big deal, a huge proponent of every single thing that we've done, that we love in wrestling. He also performed at the WrestleMania 17, the best WrestleMania ever. He was in that really, really high profile match of the gimmick battle royal. Seriously, like, if you don't really, you might have heard the name, you probably don't know how much he was involved in, like, the creative of it. Every single thing went through him. Everything. He's a fucking legend, and his podcast is one of the best podcasts out there as well. Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. If you don't listen to it, obviously listen to us first, but go and look at and listen to some of his stuff. Phenomenal. Great storyteller as well. Yeah. Motherfucker!
There are some people in wrestling that,
shit,
that are in the business, but there are few people that get the business, and Bruce Pritchard is one of the people that gets the business.
Yeah.
You know, and he's not on my list. Potentially should be, but he's probably he would be in like 11th or 12th from there, I think. So yeah, no, great shout, Bruce Pritchard. Yeah, brother.
He was, if for someone who didn't have a McMahon name, he was the most powerful person there for a long time. Who wasn't a McMahon? He was the general, basically. Yeah, amazing.
Good shout, great shout.
Yeah.
Okay, Hawksy, moving on to your number 6.
My number 6 is Triple H.
Okay.
What can I say? Where do I start with Triple H? Like, I don't really know. I don't know where to start with him. Like, he's one of the best performers in the history of wrestling, especially modern day history.
Yep.
I think he goes in as a wrestler. It's too soon for him to go in as like Paul Levesque, if you know what I mean. I think he goes in as. Does that make sense? Like he goes in as.
Yeah.
Because some people go in as like part of a faction. Some people go in as like singles or what. He would go in as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, basically.
Yeah. Because he's in his DX just now, right? But I agree with you. He should go in as a solo, 100%. Yeah,
he needs to be in because the DX thing was it is a very, very short period of time. It was only a few years. DX was a thing. Probably combined, it's probably maybe 3-4 years combined altogether. Real proper DX. So I think you need to understand him as his solo career, like his singles career. Multiple time world champion, multiple time WWF champion, multiple time intercontinental champion. Let me have a quick look.
Tag team
champion, King of the Ring, Royal Rumble winner.
Did he win European?
Yes, 2-time European champion. WWE Tag Team Champion, WWF World Tag Team Championship twice, Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. Just 9-time WWE Champion, 5-time World Heavyweight Champion, 5-time Intercontinental Champion, 2-time European Champion, Wrestling Observer. We won't go for the Booker, but he's had Best Booker twice. Feud of the Year with Mick Foley in 2000. Obviously, one of the best matches ever. That Royal Rumble match.
Yeah,
fuck me.
Brilliant.
Feud of the Year 2004 with Chris Benoit and Shawn Michaels, obviously culminating at Mania. Feud of the Year 2005 with Batista. Wrestler of the Year in 2000. Reader's least favourite wrestler 2003. It's just he's getting talked about though. It's one of those things. He is one of the best to ever lace up a pair of boots. He's probably never had a 5-star match, but he's had probably every match he's ever done has been a 4-star match. He's one of the greatest guys and clever, great worker, trained by Kowalski. Like, just do whatever you want to do. His legacy will be there forever and a day. He's wrestled in some high-profile matches. He's wrestled everybody there is to wrestle. He's headlined WrestleManias. He's headlined pay-per-views. Just everything. I know he's in his DX, but he should be in
100%.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
You know, we've talked about it before, the total disrespect he gets because, he married Steph, he married into the family. Fuck off. You know, just absolute fuck off. If you take that away from him, he has got a career that stands up against almost anybody's in wrestling, you know.
He was going there before, and he would have gone there after regardless.
100%.
Yep.
One of the greatest minds in the business. For a period, he was the best heel in wrestling. He can play the heel well, he can play the babyface well. Yeah. Great shout. To be honest, I was
toying between putting Terrorizing in or Triple H, and I chose Triple H. So I just needed to make sure. I was. That's what I was most worried about before we started.
No, absolutely.
Scribble Terrorizing's name out on here and replaced it with Triple H. But
it's all right though, because my number 6 is Terrorizing. No,
shaky moment.
Swerve, bro. No, it's a great shout. Yeah, Triple H. Excellent. Okay, moving on to my number 6 then. Now, I was really shocked that this guy wasn't in the Hall of Fame. This guy scared the shit out of me when I was younger. It is the Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow.
Amazing. Great shout. He was on my wider list. I took him off. I'll be honest with you. Amazing, right? Go on.
So
Go on,
fucking
mate.
one of the best. Obviously, everybody goes on about Andre being like one of the best big men ever, you know, and then obviously Big Show. But for me, Bigelow has got to be up there in that conversation of one of the best big men ever in wrestling. You know, the unique look, the fucking tattoo in the head, the fucking flames, and he scared the actual bejesus out of me. He won pretty much in every promotion he worked for. You know, I think the only thing he won in WWE was a Slammy Award, but he did main event big things. He main evented the very first Survivor Series. He main evented King of the Ring 93 and 95, WrestleMania 6. In ECW, he was the ECW World Champion, ECW TV Champ. He was the IWGP Tag Team Champion with Vader. He's a 2-time WCW Tag Team Champion with Kanyon and DDP as part of the Jersey Triad. Like I say, the head tattoo, the flaming head tattoo is just his, right? It's when you think of him, that's what it is. With the fucking, the outfit he wore with flames as well. It was so simple, but, you know, it's, he started off great, he finished great, died too early, and the fact that, again, is
45, 44, 45, it's a joke. Again,
one of another one that is an absolute travesty that he's not in there. Even though he didn't hit the big time in terms of winning gold in WWE, his career speaks for itself. And
you don't need to win the belt.
Exactly.
You don't need to win the belt. Yep.
You know, and so, yeah, for me, Bam Bam Bigelow had to be on my list because even though he scared the shit out of me, I was a huge fan of Bam Bam. Like, some of the stuff he did from the top rope, it was like, you'd never seen that before, right?
Fucking moonsault, like, mate.
Moonsault, like, exactly, yeah.
Nearly 400 pounds or whatever he was, 350.
And he was fucking quick, man. It was ridiculous. It's like, I think Bret Hart actually says that, right? Is that he's probably the best working big man in the business. That at one point, Bret Hart said that. And Bret Hart, you know, one of the best ever. So if it's good enough for Bret, it's good enough for me. So yeah, my number 6 is Bam Bam Bigelow.
Which Mania did he main event with LT, with the American footballer? Was it
11?
Might have been 11.
I think I said 6. I meant 11.
Yeah, 11. Yeah, Lawrence Taylor. So it was LT. Yeah. Like, that was a huge deal. I think that feud, that match gets slept on a lot.
Yep.
That was LT is Cristiano Ronaldo like level star in the 90s. Huge star. He was in films in Hollywood, like unbelievable American footballer, like amazing. And they chose him. They chose Bam Bam to do that. That says a lot about what was going on at the time. You look at when that match would have been like 95, 96 maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, like they had Razor Ramon there. They had they had all these guys, Michaels, all these people there who could have done that, and they chose Bam Bam. So it really does say a lot. Amazing talent, mate. Imagine being a Japanese wrestler, okay, and you look across the ring and you see Vader with his fucking skull thing on, with steam shooting out of it, and you see Bam Bam Bigelow with that head tattoo, and they're standing the opposite side of the ring.
I'm out.
Whatever it is, 700-800 pounds worth of man, ready to... Because Vader would have beat fuck out of you, and Bam Bam wouldn't have cared over there. Imagine...
Two big fucking
just
horses,
the thought
right?
of it literally gives me fucking chills. I'm like, oh my god! But yeah, he was so good, mate. So good. I took him off my list, and I'm really annoyed that I've took him off now. But at least we got to speak about him, so I'm happy about that.
Exactly.
So that's cool.
Yeah. He was probably one of the first on my list. Like, yeah, just really slept on as a competitor. Like, fucking
massively underrated.
Just massively underrated.
But he was one of those guys that, like, he knew that wherever he went, like, he could go somewhere and make a living. So, like, the WWF wasn't like the only thing for him. Like it wasn't like, oh, I need to be in the WWF. I've always wanted to be in the WWF. Like he was a fucking bounty hunter before he got into wrestling. You know what I mean? Like he was a doorman and a bounty hunter. Like this guy was a badass. He just got into wrestling because it paid some money. Like it paid well. It's like he'd go to Japan. He started in Japan. He didn't start in WWE. He was in New Japan wrestling before WWE was even a thing. He'd go to DCW. He'd go to WCW. He'd go to All Japan. Like whoever was just paying him the most money at the time, he would go there. So he was only in the WWE for a very, very short period of time, but he's a fucking legend. He really is. Yes, oh, dude, I'm so happy we get to talk about Bam Bigelow. That's fucking sick. That's such a great shout. Such a great shout.
Excellent. Yeah, he had to be on my list. Anyway, that's us down to number 6. What we usually do now is take a short break and talk about something else in wrestling, whether it's something that's went fucking horribly wrong, but what we're going to do today is we're going to keep on the Hall of Fame sort of theme, and we obviously have mentioned previously the class of 2024 who's already been announced, and there has been since last week a few other people that have been announced to be getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we're going to talk just a little bit about them before we get back to our list, and also some rumours of who's going to complete that particular list as well. First up is the US Express. So that was Wyndham and Rotunda. US Express. Thoughts about that particular tag team, Hopkins?
I'll be honest with you. It's more of a surprise than anything else for me, but I can see why they're going in there. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be the skeptic, even though I spend most of the time on this podcast being a fucking skeptic and a miserable old bastard. But it's to do with Bray, isn't it? That's the reason they're going in. Yeah, they were a good individually. They were great workers. Like especially Barry Windham. Fuck me. But that US Express, really, they were in the WWE for what? A year?
Yeah, if that. Like
2 years?
Yeah,
a long time ago.
It's the link to Bray, right? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's there's more cause for them to be inducted individually than there is as a team. I just think it's a nice little story, right, in terms of who they are and who they're related to. So,
is Rotunda in by himself as IRS? Is IRS in there or not?
I don't think Rotunda's in there by himself. Let's have a look.
1 minute caller? No.
No, he's not. No.
He won a Slammy Award though in 1994 for the sweatiest wrestler. So
that's grim.
Yeah.
5-time WWF champion, twice with Barry Windham and 3 times with Ted DiBiase.
Yeah. That Money Inc. was decent.
Yeah.
I'm just the fact that he's not in there with Ted DiBiase and he's going in there with
Windham.
I just it's. That's Bray Wyatt's name was Wyndham Rotunda, wasn't it? You know what I mean? So I don't know.
We'll get round to Bray in a little second. Yeah. Second up was Muhammad Ali has been inducted into the Hall of Fame.
We could do a whole 3 hours on Muhammad Ali, so I'm just going to put this really, really quickly. I am ecstatic that he's going in. One of the greatest sports people of all time, one of the greatest boxers ever. And he was part of the OG WrestleMania, which is just an amazing, amazing spectacle and everything. I love Muhammad Ali. He's a special person. Very, very special person. I'm buzzing. He's going in there.
Absolutely. I can't add more to that. It's a show.
I don't want to talk too much about him because I literally will talk about him forever. Just be like, I'll be like, and then he fought Larry Holmes. And Larry Holmes, not, is that? I love him. Love him.
Oh.
I'm a big boxing guy as well, so I'm happy.
Well deserved. And
the final one.
It's a good question.
That's
a great shout. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, potentially.
Could he do it? I don't know. Could he? Would he? Would he want to do it? Could you have a Mike Tyson do it now? I don't know. There's a risk, isn't there?
I mean, Mike's in there of his own accord as well. He is a Hall of Famer.
Bischoff? Bischoff's got links with Muhammad Ali as well. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a really good shout. For those that are listening, who do you think should induct Muhammad Ali into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Let us know.
WrestleMark10@gmail.com. And finally, the one that's been officially announced as well is Thunderbolt Patterson, Hoxie.
yeah, I think this is it's an interesting one. It's a good one because he's sort of regarded as one of the greatest sort of black wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
What he did outside of the business got him basically like struck off, really, with asking for, obviously, for wrestlers' rights and trying to stick up for wrestlers' rights and help with insurance and damages and injuries and all that sort of stuff. He was around. He was sort of he was making or trying to make changes to the business in a time where you could not do that.
Yeah.
He was calling out institutional racism throughout the industry as well. Very, very. It's not necessarily a wrestling one. It is a wrestling one because he was a really, really great wrestler. But I think it's probably more for what he did outside the ring, sort of fighting against the cause at that time. But yeah, man, yeah, interesting.
He had both his arms and legs amputated due to diabetes, apparently.
Diabetes, yeah.
Poor bastard.
Bad time. But he was such very, very charismatic guy. Really, really good. Really like that. Obviously, especially down like Florida, Georgia, Carolina territories, like really, really, really good worker. Like I said, I'm not a massive. I don't know all the ins and outs of like feuds or whatever. Like my wrestling history knowledge is pretty good. I don't know massive things. I know where he would work and that sort of stuff, but I know more about what he did outside the ring than what he did inside the ring, basically. So, but yeah, fair play to him. Yeah, fair play.
So that is the 3 newest confirmed inductees into the class of 2024 Hall of Fame. There are rumours running about as well, and as one we've talked about just now, Bray Wyatt, he's rumoured to be going in. I don't know how I feel about this, right? The Hall of Fame should be for the sort of trailblazers of wrestling, someone that's had a significant impact over a long period of time. For me, is this a token induction because he unfortunately passed away?
Yes.
It's like...
Yeah. I know this is a podcast and we discuss it, but the very simple, quick and like easy answer to that is yes. He wouldn't be going in if he was still alive. He wouldn't be going in if he was still alive and he wasn't signed by the WWE. He wouldn't be going into the Hall of Fame. I don't like these ones. I know it sounds really bad. Like, I don't want to speak ill of anybody. We had a discussion when you said that he was the most overrated. I think he was fucking brilliant. He was really good. He was a solid worker. Another really big guy, quick big guy who could work. Great mind, needed to be reined in, but he'd never be anywhere near this if he died. I
want to clarify. When I said he was overrated, I didn't say him overall was overrated. I said the Fiend was overrated. I loved Bray Wyatt. Okay, I loved the Swamp.
Big old caveat there, mate.
Yeah,
the Fiend.
Well,
it was the Fiend. It was the Fiend.
It was the fucking Fiend. Go back and listen to the Overrated podcast. You'll fucking fuck you all. Yeah, I think it sounds horrible to say, but it is that token, induction. Would he have, if he didn't pass away, would he have been eventually a Hall of Fame level character? Probably, But how long was he active? Wasn't. I mean, he was originally there as fucking Husky Harris, right? It's like he got released, he came back, he got released again, he came back, and yes, he won the big title, he won it a couple of times, but we've talked about people on our list so far that we've talked about that are not in the Hall of Fame and have had significantly more impact in there. And we've got another like fucking 6 to go. Is it fair that these folks that we're talking about, men, women, have had an impact in wrestling in some way, and he's going in above them? For me, no, it's not fair. I understand why they do it. I understand that, but it sort of leaves a bad taste in the mouth. And everybody talks about the WWE Hall of Fame being like a token Hall of Fame. Doesn't mean anything because of who's in it or who isn't in it. And it's these sort of inductions that say, do I know something? They might have a point. And I think nothing says more than that than the next rumour as well. Leah Maivia, Rock's grandmother. Now, she was a promoter. She was a wrestling promoter in her own right. But if her grandson was not in the board of directors, her name would not be getting mentioned as a potential induction into the Hall of Fame.
For a
long while.
Yep. We've been through Brian Pillman, William Regal,
Yep,
Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, Lemmy Kilmister, Cyndi Lauper, like Midnights, like whoever.
Shivani.
They should be nowhere near. Like she doesn't overtake any of them. It doesn't happen. It's just, it's my boys are the boss. Let's get involved.
I think it's really dangerous as well. Like, she could potentially be the first inductee that gets booed out the building because it's already
of the heat that The Rock has got. Would they do that?
No, but it's the heat that The Rock's got, but there's already the sort of conversations that The Rock is using his stroke in order to get put into WrestleMania main event, to be pushing people to the side, already using the sort of power that he's got. And this could just be the sort of final nail in the coffin. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's heel heat, and then there's die Rocky die heat, and then but we're approaching that level. Like if she goes in, I don't mean that as a disrespect to her. She, as I say, she's promoting her own right, but we've talked, like you say, we've talked about these people, and we're going to talk about more people going into the Hall of Fame or should be in there. There's just no way that she should be going in, man. I think it's just the wrong time. Wrong time.
Yep. Yeah. It's
bad.
Rough. It's rough.
It's not nice.
Yeah, it's a meh moment, isn't it? She's an amazing woman.
Yep.
Really, really amazing woman. Her story is amazing as well. But the fact that she's been mentioned here is, it's not good. Not good at all.
It's not nice at all. Okay, so that is the recent news. We talked about the latest inductees and the rumours to go into the class of 2024. Let's go back to our list of people that should be in the Hall of Fame, Hoxie, and it's still my go, my number 5. My number 5 are a tag team that have been overlooked, potentially because of lawsuits, etc., and that's Demolition, Axe and Smash from WWF World Tag Team Champions, 3 times WWF Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
For a long time, they held the record for the longest tag team reign. I think it was 478 days. New Day overtook them. They just smashed everybody, right? It was like they absolutely just fucking annihilated everybody.
Say they demolished everyone.
Axe and Smash smashed them and demolished them, all of it. But yeah, they were eventually... Do you know who eventually beat them?
The Rockers?
What a rush.
Oh, of course.
It was in the 90s. Legion of Doom came in and just fucked them up. So they should be in the Hall of Fame, just for what they did in the tag team division. Like I say, there was a lawsuit. Like they were involved in the lawsuit against WWF. They eventually, I think the lawsuit was dropped eventually, and they built bridges, and I think that's probably still a sore point. Now that Vinnie Mac's away, Triple H is obviously a student of the game, so they will go in eventually, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I still think Demolition should be in there just for what they did to the tag team division. We talk about the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, Matt and Jeff, the Hardy Boys, etc., being great tag teams. Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, Demolition have got to have that same sort of respect put in their name just for what they did in the WWF at that time.
They were one of the last names off my list. I
thought they would be.
When I was looking through and realised that they weren't on there,
crazy,
it was a
right?
shock. Yeah. You can see why, but hey, never say never. But like you said, they were, for all the reasons that you've just explained, they were a big deal. Such a great presentation as well, like the face paint and the fucking...
The Kiss look.
Just mad leather like strap gear and diamantes and stuff. It was always a bit weird looking at that shit, but especially looking back now. But it was decent, man. Enjoyed that. Yeah. And I enjoyed they were still sort of doing bits and bobs when I very first started watching wrestling. So that's some of my early memories.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Okay, Hoxie.
Awesome.
Moving on to your number 5.
We spoke about them earlier on. It's the Midnight Express. I've spoke about them in the greatest tag team. We spoke about the greatest tag team. We spoke about them early tonight. There isn't really much more that I can add, mate. Just I said the fat Bobby Eaton isn't in the fucking WWE Hall of Fame just makes me sick. Yeah.
Puts a
You're
bad
gonna puke. I'm gonna puke. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Number 5, Midnight Express.
Fair dues. Okay, number 4. See previous comments for details.
Oh dear. My number 4. It's as if I planned this, and it leads on perfectly and beautifully. It's motherfucker.
It's my number 4 as well.
It's your number 4 as well.
Yeah.
Should we talk about him together?
It's fucking brilliant.
Mr.
Love Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
Love him.
1 or 1A of the greatest manager of all time. 1 or 1A of the greatest talkers of all time. 1 or 1A of the greatest heels to get heat of all time. The amount of times this motherfucker nearly got shot or stabbed or murdered or chased down the road or whatever. I would have Brian Last induct him as well. There's only one person on this planet who could induct him into the Hall of Fame, and that would be Brian. That would be the host of the French Toast Chateau, Brian Last himself.
Hawaiian Brian, the podcast line, the king of the Arcadian Vanguard Network.
Vanguard Network. The co-host. Oh dear. It's his career. Just he started as a photographer. He got into the wrestling as a photographer because his mum used to take him to the matches, and he used to do photography and take pictures of the wrestlers and sell them. And he made a fucking mint. Like he made loads of money doing it. And then Dusty saw him knocking around the place and like having a laugh and telling jokes and getting involved with the wrestlers and stuff. And he was like, "Do you want to do some managing?" He was like, "Yeah, fucking yeah." Like, we talk about Meltzer scale, just a little aside from his wrestling thing. We talk about the Meltzer 5-star rating. Him and Weasel Dooley were the first people who started that.
Yeah,
it was the Dooley, the Weasel rating. It was the Weasel Dooley rating. So Jim Cornette's impact on the business from different perspectives as well is huge. Yeah. I don't think we realize exactly what this guy. We don't realize the impact of what this guy does. Just he's been everywhere. Continental, Mid-South, Midnights, obviously all the feuds, all the crazy shit they did, the fucking, what's it called? Where he fell off and fucked his knee up.
The scaffold.
Scaffold match, world-class championship wrestling, Jim Crockett, the Shark Tank at Bash at the Beach, the Shark Cage, the other Bash one. What is it? Great American Bash in the Shark Cage. Big Bubba, Boss Man.
Yeah, Boss Man.
Big Boss Man. He introduced him into the business as well. Got fed up, got fucking annoyed, fucked off, and went and started his own wrestling promotion with Smoky Mountain. And just done everything with everybody that was ever around in that mid-90s. WWF. He was working with managing like Yokozuna and working behind the scenes as well. He was a booker. He was a writer, a booker on the creative team. He went to ECW, done a one-off show at ECW when they were working together, which is amazing. And then he got that fed up with Vince Russo and wanted to kill him, that he was like, "Get me away from this guy. Is there anything that I can do? I will literally kill him if I spend another second around him." And he went to OVW and trained Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, fucking everybody. Batista. Like
Shelton Benjamin. Fucking...
Yeah.
The who's who.
The who's who. Yeah. Kurt Angle. Everybody. He's responsible for the Kane sit-up as well. He came up with that idea, just little asides, just little random stuff. Fucked off from OVW when Laurinaitis took over, went to TNA. He was involved in Ring of Honor with guys like Generico, with Steen, with Jay Lethal, the fucking Briscoes, like everybody who's everybody. He's had an impact.
Did a bit of MLW as well, didn't he?
NWA before the before the line, and he's got the best podcast ever, the best wrestling podcast ever, and his recall and his memory and his storytelling, everywhere he's been, everything he's done, everything he's been involved with, this guy has been there, done it, got several t-shirts, and forgot most that most people know. It's just, he is one of the greatest people to ever be involved in wrestling, in my opinion.
Now, he is one of the most outspoken people, you know, but he just doesn't suffer fools gladly. And I agree with you. One of the best minds, one of the best people to ever to be involved in wrestling. Mm-hmm. He saw the issues that were going to happen with AEW before anyone else did. You know, Tony Khan got him on the phone and tried to get him in the door at the very beginning of AEW.
Offered him a job and a lot of money. Yep,
and he refused because he didn't want to work with the Bucks, because he knew who the vice presidents were. One of the best.
He's an honorary member of the Cauliflower Alley Club. He is in the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame. He is in the NWA Hall of Fame. He's the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. He was Manager of the Year 1985, 1993, 1995. The Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum, 2012. Wrestling Observer Best Booker, 93, 2001, 2003. Best Non-Wrestler, 2006. Best Interview, 1985, 1986, 1987, 1988, and 1993. Manager of the Year for fucking 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 90, 92, 93, 94, 95, and 96.
Fucking hell.
Insane. And the Pro Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame as well. Mad. Just mad.
You know, whenever I think of Jim Cornette, and obviously he's got so many memorable moments, but it's actually nothing related to a wrestling show per se. There's a YouTube clip of him where he's been asked to describe what is wrestling. And he talks about the little good guy, and, you know, he's getting his ass kicked, and, you know,
I've got this recorded on my phone. I think I sent this to you. Yeah.
Right.
Should I play this? Should I play it? Should I play it through the mic? It should come through.
It should.
We can play it. We can play it. You won't be able to necessarily see it, but you'll definitely be able to hear it. Yeah. Just keep going, and I'll be able to find it here.
He runs through, and it's a beautiful piece of storytelling. It's just so generic at the same time, and you know what I mean. It's just he gets what wrestling's about, and we talk about, you know, it's about not about matchmaking. It's about storytelling. It's about that, and he gets the storytelling aspect of wrestling. And if he got inducted, can you imagine the speech, man? It would be incredible.
It'd be the best thing ever. I found it. Do you want me to play it?
Yeah.
Play it for him.
Guys on the side of the road in a heck of a fight. You want to pull over and see what's going to happen, right? And there's a big guy and a little guy. And that big guy is wailing on that little guy. And you're like, boy, he's getting a shit kicked out of him. But that big guy, he looks too big for me, so I'm not going to mess with this. But then, because you're a human, and it's human nature, the little guy comes up off the shoulder of the road and starts firing back. And the big guy's getting the shit kicked out of him. And then you're going, yeah, hit him again. Because you don't know who these people are. But you see it, you get with it. Now imagine if you know that little guy, who he is, and that you like him, and that he's your hero. And that big guy, what a prick he is. He says horrible things to everybody. I hope he gets the shit kicked out of him. Now, instead of just driving down the road and stopping, you might want to pay $5 or $10 or whatever it is to see that fight, to see whether the little guy can kick the shit out of the big guy and get even for you. That's wrestling.
That's wrestling.
Fucking brilliant. I've got that saved on my phone. Like, I've just, every so often I'll watch it, and just to remind me that there's still hope for everybody.
But it is that simple, right? It is that simple. And we see this all the time. when wrestling is bad, it's fucking awful, right? But when it's good, it's so fucking
There's nothing
good.
better. There's nothing better. When wrestling is good, there is nothing better in this world. There really isn't. Personal issues draw money. It's very, very simple.
That's it. Jim Cornette should be a bona fide, and I think it's because he is so outspoken. That's probably the reason why he isn't in there already. Who knows what he would say? Give him a live mic and it'll draw you money. It'll draw you money. Now, there is an argument saying that he could go in with the Midnight, but I think with the career he's had and with the impact he's had in wrestling overall, not just on screen, but behind the scenes as well, he's a shoo-in to be inducted by himself as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oklahoma.
Cool. Yep. Do you agree, everybody? So we're at number 4 just now. Well, Hawks away taking a piss because, you know, that's what he does. You know, we're old now. We don't have the prostate control. This will probably get cut out. I can't talk about prostate on a podcast. Do you agree? Make sure you email us your list as well of the top 10 Hall of Famers that should be in the Hall of Fame. WrestleMark10@gmail.com. You could tweet us at Mark_out of 10 on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on TikTok. All at Mark out of 10, and also our new Twitch page, twitch.tv/Mark out of 10. We are going to do some sort of watch alongs. We want to potentially do like SmackDowns and Raws, etc. We might do old school wrestling pay-per-views. We're going to do sort of deep dives into wrestlers as well. So that's going to be really fun to do. So we do appreciate everybody. Make sure you do share the podcast as well. We do want to grow. Jim Cornette's podcast is the pinnacle of podcast, but we would like to emulate it, not copy it, just be in the conversation.
Hi.
Yeah,
I was going to wet myself. Genuinely, I was like, oh my God, I need to go. Quick.
I basically did a sort of a social media plug while you were away, and I said, you know, while Hawks is away taking a piss because we've got no prostate control because we're old as fuck. I was like, can we talk about prostate in the podcast? Fuck it, why not? Let's go crazy.
We can talk about whatever we want, mate.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I'm an old boss and I don't give a shit.
Oh man, motherfucker. Damn. Okay. So yeah, both of us was number 4, Mr. Jim Cornette. Worthy addition to the Hall of Fame. My number 3, because it's down to me now, is someone you've already mentioned, Mr. William Regal. You know, he was Memphis champion, Southern heavyweight champion. He was WCW World Television champion 4 times, Steven Regal. WWF Hardcore Champion 3 times, European Champion 4 times, Intercontinental Champion twice, Tag Team 4 times, twice with Lance Storm, 1 with Eugene, and once with Tajiri. King of the Ring.
Eugene?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I need to go back and watch some of that. I don't think I've ever seen that. Sorry, go on. Carry on.
No. I mean, it's stuff that you've already done. You know, he started wrestling when he was 15, like Blackpool, like the Pleasure Beach, you know, proper right way of getting fucking stuck in it, wrestling up against grown men, just getting ass kicked. So basically what he did in the MGF promo before he left AEW, that was like a shoot in terms of his past in wrestling. He legitimately was getting his ass kicked by grown-ass men at 15. It's not been all like sort of sunshine and rainbows for William Regal. He was released because of like he had obviously some well-documented substance abuse issues, and he was actually going to win the big belt at that time. He was rumoured to be in line to win the WWF title and be like the first proper UK champ. But he fucked himself over. If you go and listen to some of these interviews that he did sort of in between, like when he retired from wrestling before he went into NXT, that's what he talks about. You know, he let himself down because he was in line for a big push.
Amazing.
Yeah, and he would have been a fucking phenomenal top tier champ. He had that sort of prickish heel down to a fine art, right?
He would have got heat. Yeah.
Oh,
especially,
100%.
Especially in North America.
Yeah. That damn limey.
People don't like English people, do they?
No.
The Americans are scared of intelligence, mate. That's all it is. They fear intelligence. Yeah. That's why all the bad guys in all the fucking action films are all British, mate, because they're fucking scared of intelligent people. However, there we go.
See, nobody fucks with the Scottish folk. There's never a bad Scottish person because we're just too fucking mental. Yeah, but as you said before, he's fucking super talented. It doesn't matter where. If it was in the ring, on the mic, on the commentary, backstage, just legend, tippity top guy, deeply respected. Like you say, Triple H's right or left-handed man. Deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. And I think now that he's left AEW, I think it's a lock. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but the year after, he's definitely going to be going into the Hall of Fame very, very shortly.
And has to, right?
That's a speech that I really, really would listen to. I think it would be really, really interesting to hear him talk for his induction speech. It'd be great.
He was like, he nearly died a couple of times as well, didn't he? So yeah, there's a lot.
Poor bastard.
There's a lot of meat on the bone with this.
Who would you get to induct him?
Would it be Triple H?
I think so.
Would it be Marty Jones? Would it be?
Well, I mean,
would it be Robbie Brookside? Maybe
Daniel Bryan's going to retire this year. Could be Daniel Bryan.
He's going to be in AEW forever. He'll be Tony's right hand man. He's sticking around. Yeah, he's creative. He's already doing stuff. He's got a job for life there, or as long as AEW are going. But
the point is, he's not going to be on screen. You know, I wouldn't imagine he's going to be an on-screen character. He'd be behind the scenes.
Though. They wouldn't do it. He'll be attached there. They wouldn't do it.
I mean, did it with Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn went in, and he was in the AEW. We shall find out. Okay, Hoxie, over to you. Your number 3.
My number 3 is a guy you've already spoke about tonight. It was very low down. I've dropped my pen. No, very low down on your list. It's Jim Johnston.
Okay.
The soundtrack of all of our wrestling lives, basically. The fact he isn't in already,
it's crazy, right?
It's nuts. It really is nuts. Every single wrestling theme, every single pay-per-view score, everything that's ever been done, music-wise, whether it was from the 80s or whatever, you know what I mean, is this guy. He was even working with the artists like your Disturbed and your Limp Bizkits and all these. He was even working with these bands to advise them on what he wanted or what he wanted to do, or we want to change this and we want to do a rock version of Kane's music or whatever. The guy's a fucking legitimate big deal legend, just genius. It's crazy that he's not in. You mentioned stuff earlier on, it literally is the soundtrack of my wrestling life,
of us growing up with wrestling,
growing up. Yeah, he's done everything. It's mad. I really don't get it. It's crazy. Really is crazy. He's really high on my list because I'm a big music guy. We spoke about this when we've done the wrestling themes and stuff. I'm a big music person, and it's the soundtrack goes along with wrestling for me, emotionally, if you know what I mean. It ties everything together for me. And the fact that he's not in is just fucking nuts. So yeah, Jim Johnston, number 3.
I mean, he left in 2014, I think it was, right? After 30 years. And as I say, it's he laid the foundations because they're still releasing some really good fucking entrance musics now, right? You think, I mentioned it wasn't on my list of entrance music, but Glorious, Bobby Roode. I think that's a great thing. And you can see the sort of influence that he's had in even the modern day wrestlers. You know, it's the same. It's the same but different. You know, it's definitely got it's got the same Jim Johnston sort of hallmarks of great epic music. I think he's involved in the Shinsuke Nakamura's as well. In terms of that was created within WWE. So yeah, it's he has such a massive impact on the stuff that he did, but also in the future as well. I knew it would be really high on your list because you are a big music guy. I'm not a huge music guy. But he had to be on my list as well. He's on my list. That's the important thing.
So this is a quote that I found sort of describing his work, and this sums it up way more intelligently than I can ever do. His music wasn't just catchy, colourful pieces of music, but cinematic scores that communicated the emotional makeup of your favourite wrestler clearer than any catchphrase ever could. I think that's almost poetic, but I think that's fucking brilliant. Number 3, Jim Johnson.
Smashed it. Sounds good. Okay, moving on to your number 2.
I have a feeling that we might have the same number 1 or number 2. Like you're going to be close to me on this. I have a feeling that this person is going to be on your list. If he isn't, we will stop the podcast right now and we will never speak again.
Oh, that's fucking risky. Okay.
You didn't agree to it. I'm just saying it. But my number 2 is Owen Hart.
So's mine.
I knew this would happen.
Yeah.
It's never ever going to happen. No. The only time it'll ever happen is when Martha dies. Our periods are going to sink soon. I'm telling you, exactly, they really are. It's fucking Owen Hart, man. One of the greatest to ever do it. Probably better than his brother in the ring. He died way too soon. 34 years old. When you think about how long he'd been around and what he'd done, like when he started and like what he'd went through, I would have thought he was like in his 40s when he died, but he wasn't, because he was younger than Bret, wasn't he? He was his younger brother. So, one of the greatest to ever do it. No one in wrestling ever has ever had a bad word to say about this guy. So it says all it needs to say. This guy was legitimately like an amazing person. Obviously, Stampede, wrestled everywhere. WWF, fucking New Japan. I did IWGP. I had matches with IWGP World Junior Heavyweight Champion. Loads and loads of different promotions all the way around the world. Was it the New Foundation? Was it the New Foundation in the early 90s? That feud with Bret. I mean, come on. That fucking match at Mania 10 was just insane. Tag team champions, fucking intercontinental champion, everything. Nation of Domination he was in as well. Which always boggles my mind. Just what a talent, man.
You know the thing that always comes into my head when I talk about Owen Hart is, everybody talks about the Blue Blazer, like nugget, right? But that's not the sort of moment that I always remember. It's actually the feud he had with Shawn Michaels when he did an enziguri and it like knocked Shawn Michaels out, and it gave him a severe concussion, and Shawn Michaels was out for weeks and weeks and weeks, and he played on that. I always remember it because I watched it, and it was that. His reaction as a heel was so fucking good because it was like, I really hate you because you just put out Shawn Michaels on the shelf, and you didn't know if he was going to come back because Shawn played it so well as well. But it was just everything he did was fucking. It was just so crisp, right? He was a heart, He was a heart. That's how. That's the only thing you can really say. It's like,
just technically perfect.
I mean, for those that don't know, for those that are only just getting into wrestling, he tragically died. Yeah, it was in Over the Edge in 1999, I think it was.
23rd of May, 1999.
His gimmick at that time was the Blue Blazer, which was a sort of a punishment for Bret leaving, really, wasn't it? Like,
it was a hangover from it, really. Yeah. So when Bret left after the Montreal Screwjob, he was sort of punished a little bit because, again, he was in line for a big push as well. I think before Bret was due to leave. I'm sure that was in the works. Mm-hmm. He was supposed to rappel down from the rafters and the equipment malfunctioned, and unfortunately he hit the turnbuckle. I think it was chest first, and I think it ruptured his aorta and he bled out, and unfortunately he passed away in the ring. And obviously the subsequent sort of Raws, etc. There was like the Owen Hart tribute, which if you haven't seen it, you've got to go and watch it. It will. If you're any fan of wrestling, it will draw a tear to your eye. It's horrendous, but I agree. One of the best ever to lace up the boots. And you could understand why Martha was so raw about it when it first happened, right? And the subsequent years after that. But it's getting to the level where it's just spite now. Yes.
You know, it's like we know he was failed in terms of the equipment malfunction, etc. It probably wasn't the right equipment.
They didn't murder him though. You know
Exactly. And you know, I think it's quite obvious it's a spite against WWF, because I don't know how you would feel. I would feel really against wrestling. You know, if it was my other half that had died in a wrestling ring, I wouldn't be against the company. I'd be against the sort of the wrestling as a whole, professional wrestling, and it's not because AEW's honoured them in the Owen Hart Cup, right?
Yep.
And you know they're in partnership with the Owen Hart Foundation as well, a great charity. If you haven't seen about it, look up the Owen Hart Foundation. I really do hope that she will change her mind, but I don't think it's going to. I think it's too far along now. It's too toxic. I would have said that, you know, with Vince leaving, there might have been a sort of beacon of hope, but the fact that Triple H is in there now, I still think there's a lot of bad blood between Triple H. You know, I think that'll still sort of tar the relationship as well. Yeah. So I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon, unfortunately.
He was from a wrestling family.
Yeah.
He was a wrestler before he ever met her and married her and had a family with her. His life was professional wrestling. He was put on this planet to be a professional wrestler. Yeah. He was amazing at it. He was very, very good. He was a great character within wrestling. You would want somebody's life to be championed and celebrated and shared with the next crop of fans or the next generation of fans, and the people who would be able to benefit from knowing about Owen Hart as a person, knowing about Owen Hart's family, knowing about his work, knowing about his legacy. Like, I would want, excuse me, if my family, I would want that to be championed and heralded and almost like that his legacy would be solidified, like in time. It's not just people talking about it, like it would be a big deal. Oh no, it's all the WWE. It's kind of a worked thing. It's the whole wrestling is kind of a worked thing. I get it, but it is a big deal to people, and it is serious to the people who would be serious for. And to have like Brett induct his brother into the WWF Hall of Fame would be an amazing thing, and I think it would be special for everybody. And if the big wrestling ring in the sky or what's going on, if Owen was looking down and saw his name go into that, I think it would be special for him as well, because it's like his life's work. And people train hard and get hurt and wrestle all over the world and take bad bumps and wrestle shit people and get bad pay or whatever. Like, to make it to the top is hard enough, but to solidify yourself as like one of the true legends is a big deal. And I think it's sad that we don't get to do that. I really do.
We don't get to celebrate his life's work, and it's tragic. I think it will happen one day. I think
it has to, man.
It will unfortunately be down to the passing of Martha. I don't think she's going to.
It's not going to be any time soon, is it?
No, she's not going to allow it. And again, I understand her justifications, but you know, it's time is a great healer, right? And we just need to wait and see what happens.
Fucking Brett went back, and Brett went in. Look at all the shit that went down there, and Brett's moved on, forgiven, but forgiven and whatever. It's just, they didn't do it on purpose, Martha. Jesus Christ, they didn't.
No,
fucking hell.
Absolutely. Okay. Moving on then. So yeah, both of us, Mr. Owen Hart should definitely be involved in the WWE Hall of Fame at any point. What we do now, guys, is we go on to do an honourable mention. So if we have a list of 10, but it's a way of getting a
mention. I haven't forgot to write it down. I just forgot because I've put it at the bottom of my thing this week. I forgot it was there.
So it's a way of getting us a cheeky little extra place into the Hall of Fame this particular week. And usually we can do it with a bit of an unexpected entry, an unexpected entrance onto our list. And it's my go, isn't it? Right. So my honourable mention is a bit left field. I don't think you probably would have recognised it. Might be an argument point here, but It's not a wrestler, again. It's not a celebrity, but my honourable mention is Lillian Garcia. She was... you've got to say that she's got to be, in WWE, one of the greatest ring announcers of all time, beaten probably only by Howard Finkel. If you think of anybody else that could go in between her and the Fink, I genuinely can't. If you think about...
Not in the WWE.
No, I'm talking specifically about WWE here.
Yeah.
You know, she was the first ever decade diva, so she was the first diva to reach like 10 years. But if you think about her, obviously her ability was second to none, but she's got some really poignant moments in WWE as well. You know, she sung the national anthem post 9/11. Any major event, like she did the national anthem, and she was very good. She had multiple backstage segments when she was doing interviewing. Like there were so many, like The Rock segments that she did on SmackDown, like, you know, the people strudel, stuff like that. She wasn't, you know, she wasn't afraid to take a bump. She got legitimately injured a few times, getting like huckled off the ringside. You know, she participated in matches. She did the bra and panties match, but she did also like a match against Howard Finkel as well. It's like, you know, I think she's really underrated for the sort of performer that she was. Obviously not a wrestler, but there are some arseholes in the Hall of Fame just now, and I think she deserves her spot, to be honest, you know, for the work that she did. I mean, like I say, left field, I think it'd be a shame if she doesn't go in at some point. But yeah, she's my honourable mention, Lillian Garcia.
Okay. Like I can't like argue.
The honourable mentions are meant as a swerve.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But I just like
shake moment.
Do you know you're saying I can't really think about anybody else really. Like the Fink was the guy, and she was really good. Yeah, she was really good. I can see why she'd go in there. Your justification is everything, mate.
There we go. Okay, like I say, it's a swerve. It's my shake moment for this week, ladies and gents. Over to you, Hoxie, your honourable mention.
I'm going to trump you with a shake moment, I think, this week.
Okay.
My honourable mention is Ted Turner.
Oh! Fuck me. That's a great shout.
He was very close to making it on like the full list. But just obviously I was struggling, but he had to get on there. There's no Monday Night War. There's no WCW. There's no Billionaire Ted. There's nothing really what we talk about most of the time. From the last 30 years or whatever it is, 35 years. Ted Turner was, for those who don't know who Ted Turner was the owner of WCW. So he was the owner of the Atlanta Braves, the TNT network, the TBS network, CNN, an absolute mogul and game changer when it comes to television presentation in America. The first ever 24-hour news network was CNN. Who no one's going to watch 24 hours of news. Yeah, there will be. He's the first guy who had old films on 24/7 on film networks. Like he was the guy. WCW.
Fuck, man, that's so good.
He is the yin to Vince's yang, basically. We wouldn't have what we have now if it wasn't for Ted Turner. He's so good. I think the rivalry, and it was professional rivalry. It wasn't them being dickheads. It really was professional rivalry. I think if Vince at the time would have called Ted's still alive. He's in his 80s. Like he's getting on now. But if Vince was still in charge and he rang him and said, Ted, I want to put you in, he'd fucking do it. Because I think it would just be another thing for him to do, and it'd be a fucking laugh for him. And I think Vince would probably put him in. If not, it'd be Bischoff would put him in. It would be an amazing, amazing speech and an amazing, amazing story. There'd be none of this if it wasn't for him.
I can't believe I got out sheikied. Fucking hell. That's a fucking quality shout, mate. Absolutely quality shout. I didn't even think of Ted Turner. That's amazing.
It's all the sliding door stuff. I say it all the time. We need a sliding doors t-shirt, by the way. Well, that definitely needs to be on the list of shit to do. But I think, yeah, when he decided that he wanted to buy WCW, that changed everything forever.
We might not be sitting here talking about this.
Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, it's amazing.
So good. Such a great shout.
Ted Turner, honourable mention.
I got out-shaked. Fuck me. Okay, before we reveal our number one, we usually go through our top 10. So it's you to do your number one first. So I'll go first. So my number 10 is Cyndi Lauper. My number 9 is Jim Johnson. Then Midnight Express at number 8. Number 7 is Tony Schiavone. Number 6 was Bam Bam Bigelow. Number 5 was Demolition. 4, Jim Cornette. Number 3, William Regal. 2, Owen Hart. And my honourable mention is Lillian Garcia. Over to you,
number
Foxy.
10 is Brian Pillman. Number 9, William Regal. Number 8, Lemmy. Number 7, Bruce Pritchard. Number 6, Triple H. Number 5, Midnight Express. Number 4, Jim Cornette. Number 3, Jim Johnson. Number 2, Owen Hart. And my honourable mention, Ted Turner. Teddy Turner.
You know what's really cool? We didn't really discuss this beforehand, but we've all put in a celebrity. We've put in like sort of left field people, tag teams, and like legit stars as well, which is really cool. Without even discussing it.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to sink our period soon. It's ridiculous. Okay, Hoxie, your number one. I've got a feeling we could have the same one here. I've got a suspicion. Your number one people who should go into the Hall of Fame is
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I mean, from what we said about Ted Turner, like us not being here, we definitely wouldn't be here without Vince.
Yeah. What we're going to do, and I was a bit worried about putting Vince at number one. Not worried, but I was a bit like, but we've done this before, and we say this before. Take away the shit for a minute. Just let's take away the bad shit, because we've done this before with a few people. We've sort of we look at wrestling. I know we talk about some stuff sometimes. We don't like usually going into it as much as we can, but it's sort of at the time it's poignant information. But strip all the shit away. We aren't sitting here. We aren't sitting here without Vince McMahon. None of this ever happens. They'll still be selling 500 tickets in bingo halls around the North America, still fighting over people's territories and towns and getting in people's way, and just like wrestlers working hurt and no money, no television deals, syndication shows. People wouldn't be watching it anymore. It'd be indie, outlaw, mud show, bullshit every weekend, everywhere, and we wouldn't have anything. It's the Vince McMahon's WWF or Vince McMahon's wrestling vision impacted on the zeitgeist and the culture of the world. Basically, it would be like one of those little, what is it, like when a butterfly flaps its wings on one side of the world, we get a hurricane on the other or whatever. We wouldn't have the hurricane. Like Vince McMahon is the little butterfly flapping his wings. Like we wouldn't have crazy. I wouldn't imagine what stuff. It's like, Back to the Future, you go back and you change one little thing and you did it like something's never invented or something, or I'm not here, like whatever. It's just mad shit. We wouldn't have loads of stuff now if it wasn't for Vinnie Mac.
It's scary to think, right? It's how much of an impact he had on the business as a whole. Like you say, we wouldn't be here talking about it. No. Everybody that we have mentioned on this list, like honourable mentions included, probably wouldn't be here to this level. Well, they wouldn't be there to that level without a Vince McMahon. As you say,
the only people on my list who were around before were the Midnights and JC.
Yeah.
And JC wouldn't have had half of the shit that he did. The Midnights are in for what they did in the territories in WCW, basically, and been some of the greatest workers ever. Jim Cornette's ever, but he would have got cut off in Like, he wouldn't have had, when he left WCW, he wouldn't have had a Smoky Mountain to get funded, partly funded by the WWF. He wouldn't have had WWF to go to. He wouldn't have had Ohio Valley Wrestling. He wouldn't, you know what I mean? He wouldn't have been involved in all that shit. Everybody else on this list is from WWE, is from Vince. Everybody that we've spoke about since we've been doing this podcast is there because of Vince.
We talk about moments in wrestling, right? We talk about that a lot on this podcast, and every other podcast as well talk about moments. Vince McMahon has got to be responsible for the big moments in wrestling, 95% of them, if you think about it. You know, it's maybe even higher than that. He has set the bar so high, you know, and again, it's like, the quality of wrestling, yes, it did decrease over time, but there was no competition for him. Once he put WCW out of business, there was no, you know...
They weren't... I was just thinking about that as you were talking about that. They were competition for 83 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he hasn't had any competition.
Vince McMahon...
Really?
Vince McMahon took what originated as a territorial sideshow, we'll call it, as what wrestling was regarded as at that point, and he then took it to the mainstream, and it now transcended into something totally different. It is a juggernaut of a media and entertainment entity, and it's all down to him. And what's ironic is, with what's happened in the recent past, he may never be inducted into his own Hall of Fame.
Which is mind-blowing when you think about it like that.
You know, it's...
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, the phrase genius gets sort of bandied about really, really... He's a genius.
Yep.
Absolute genius. Nothing left to say.
Yeah. Nobody bats 1,000, but he was pretty fucking close, right?
Really. Yeah. And I think people...
There's the culture, the fibre of the world, WWE and wrestling is woven into the fibre of humanity because of this guy, basically. I know not everybody's a wrestling fan, but you mention a Hulk Hogan, or you mention a John Cena, or you mention The Rock, or whatever. It's there. It's in there. It's crazy.
For those that are like watching, if you could ask your grandparents, name a wrestler, they'll mention a Hulk Hogan. You know, without a doubt. You say to your parents, like, I had a conversation with my mum when I went for Mother's Day, in terms of, we were doing the wrestling podcast, blah, 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 and she then sort of rhymed off all these wrestlers that she thought were brilliant. It was like, oh, The Rock, and you know, Batista with these fucking... It's like, what the fuck? It's like, you know, you can have these conversations, and these are all Vince McMahon moments, you know, and is he an arsehole? Yes, you know, but we wouldn't be here without him.
There's not that many successful people who aren't arseholes at some point, anyway.
Look at us. We're the biggest arseholes going.
Yeah. I could think of another word to describe us as well. But
legends.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. He had to be top of this list.
Yeah, had to be.
Slam dunk. It was the first one on here. Number one. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vinnie Mac, everything. That $1 million loan that he took off his dad to buy his dad's company was a fucking masterstroke. Absolute genius. It's amazing. The fucking, I can't remember the exact like details of that deal, but Vinnie Mac even managed to swerve Vinnie Mac Sr. It was amazing. He worked his own dad. Phenomenal. Didn't work him out of it, but just the deal was fucking amazing.
I promise I won't go against the other territories, Dad. Good shit.
It's amazing.
I think the mark out of 10 class of 2024 is impeccable, Hoxie.
I think it's a phenomenal list, mate. Beautiful.
You know that there are a few that we match up with, but there are a few that we few individuals on our list, which is great. Do you, the listeners, agree with our list? Let us know at WrestleMark10@gmail.com, Mark_out of 10 on Twitter, at Mark out of 10 on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And also, obviously, make sure you follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/markout10. Also, share the podcast to one of your friends, just one. Hoxie, why do we do that?
For the fucking algorithm. No, every single thing that you do, every single comment, every single like, every single share, just even watching it, like, or watching a clip or anything on any of these platforms, it pumps it further up in the magical algorithm of the internet. So just do anything you can. Like I said, just share it to one mate. Their mate might like it. They'll share it to one of their mates. They might like it. They might share it in their little group chat. A couple of people, and they share and share and share and share. And that's how it grows. So just anything that you guys can do, just please, spread the love.
Appreciate it.
Spread the love.
Perfect. And next week's episode, we always reveal what we're going to do next week. We've talked about what wrestling is. We heard Mr. Jim Cornette from Hoxie's audio that he played earlier. What is wrestling? It's about a good guy fighting a bad guy. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. It's the top 10 heels in wrestling. Top 10 bad guys, in our opinion. It's really, really good. Can you guess what the week after is going to be about? I don't know.
We'll find out next week.
Absolutely. So top 10 heels. Make sure you join in next week for that. Thank you to everybody that's listened to the end of this podcast. It's been a really good one. Really enjoyed it. Thank you from Shields.
Thank you from Hawksy. Have a great week, guys. Love you. Love you all.